behavior,
Oh,
you
don't
gotta act
remember.
like gentlemen.
You got it. You remember you want to tone down that video. You said it's easier when you
No,
turn the
that's fine.
video
We're,
off.
we're gonna broadcast. It should be fine.
Oh,
I think
okay. I
yeah.
thought you said that it was a bigger problem when you hit
No,
upload.
we'll just do video this time. Yeah, maybe in
Whatever.
the future we don't, but yeah.
You are on it. Okay. In 5, 4.
Wait, are you bringing me in?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh,
Did I not just say that?
okay. Sorry, I was
Is
trying to
there
get
now
everything aligned.
is there now an echo on my headphones where I'm talking to myself?
I think so. It sounds like
Sorry, I got my son in the background. He's distracting me.
Yeah. All right.
likely excuse.
Yes, that's right.
Right. Okay. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome everyone to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 36. This is called the E3 Amibros. I want to introduce myself, Todd Oxtra, one of the founding members of the Secret Friends Unite, and I'm joined with Charlie Carden.
What's up, y'all?
And I'd like to introduce our special guest this episode, the geek guru himself, Bobby Balls.
What is up, fellas? How you guys doing tonight?
Chilling.
Thank you for having me. Let me start off with that. I really I feel honored that you guys invited me to come on this week and discuss some stuff. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and
got
Bobby,
it, man.
give us a little bit of your geek background.
I mean, I started comic books when I was like 13, 14 years old. The first comic book I ever read was Batman Year One by Frank Miller. And then quickly after that went to The Dark Knight. My dad bought it for me. It's funny, I did a video with my dad, and I said to him, if you knew what was in that book, I don't think you would have bought it for a 13-year-old boy. I think you'd have been a little lenient on that one.
It's a little blue.
Yeah, it's a little, yeah. But that was when I fell in love with Batman. I used to draw when I was in high school, and then I stopped reading comics for a while. I mean, I played video games and stuff when I was also around the same age. I stopped reading comics when I was about 20, maybe a little bit later than that. Just kind of like thought I was too cool for it, and then started collecting statues. I think you guys saw my collection a few weeks ago. I posted it on YouTube. And that basically, when the new 52 hit, that brought me back. Just because Snyder and Capullo, the work they were doing on Batman, just blew me away. And I figured if I was going to come back, because it did kind of get a little muddy. It was hard to just dive back in and start reading again after taking so many years off. So the new 52 was perfect for me because I was able to come back in, start reading again fresh. Basically, though, what I do is I have a pull at my comic book shop, and then I go and I pick up. But I don't typically, I binge read. So I'll wait till I kind of get like a series together. Like I read all the Court of Owls, and then I read all of the, Death of the Family, and then 0 Year. Like that's the way I broke it down and was reading it rather than reading an issue and forgetting what the heck happened the next week or the next month. So
I run into a lot of that myself, and it's funny you mentioned that breakdowns in that particular series because that's how I followed it in the trades because I picked it up late. It was only that last leg that I got at every issue, and it was less coherent that way. So I kind of agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's basically me in a nutshell. Like, and now I'm back to reading comics and I'm playing video games all the time and just enjoying it, just having fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, and Bobby, we'll at the end we'll obviously let you go wild and talk about your stuff at the end. But I figure we'll get into it as we talk about previously on. Okay, that's well put our little bumper in.
That's what we call a transition.
This is where the sausage is being made, so it's not as exciting. No music, no. Although there is like little sound effects in Google Hangouts that you can add in. Which Charlie, don't do it.
No, my hands are off. I'm looking at the flow, not in the screen.
It's like the morning radio zoo, so you have to be careful, Charlie.
Which is hilarious because I work at a radio station, but I'm not on the air. But maybe someday. So, all right. Well, Todd, you count me back in, and I'll be
okay.
Just give me a chance to have my voice heard.
Yes, because we would die without it, Charlie.
I know. I know. I would.
Okay. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's Previously On, where we're chatting about what we were reading, watching, and playing this week. And I have to admit, things were a little hectic in my personal life this week. Did not spend a lot of time on TV, didn't spend a lot of time on new comics. So you're going to hear a lot of Todd's voice this week. So, Todd, why don't you tell us about what you've been reading this week?
Actually, I bought a lot of comics, but didn't read a lot of comics.
Whoops.
So I've been kind of backing up. And the one comic I did read, because I wanted to check it out, was a character that's never had a comic before, is Starfire.
Really? I didn't know she was titleless.
Well, I mean, she was introduced in the Teen Titans back in
Right.
The early '80s. Original character by George Perez and Marv Wolfman, and she's been part of the DC universe since. She's probably best known actually on the Teen Titan cartoons that have been out lately by this generation. And
Teen Titans Go!
Yeah, my son's a big fan of the original Teen Titans show, and then also Teen Titans Go. And she's always been an interesting character. She's an alien princess. Beautiful, but she's kind of like Drax the Destroyer, in the fact that she's very much blunt, doesn't understand the intricacies of the human language. She's very very wide-eyed, very open, and that's funny. This way this book took her character was pretty much she is trying to establish a life in our world outside of superheroes, and she's like landed in Florida, I think. She's getting an apartment, and she's just oblivious. These guys are fawning all over her, and it's just really quirky. Not a lot of superhero antics occur, but just it's really a fish out of water story. It's almost like Perfect Strangers with Cousin Bulky coming in. And
you're gonna make it after all.
Exactly, it's very comedic, and there's very little conflict in this episode or in this issue, but it's fun, and I think I'll be interested to see where it goes. It didn't have a lot of conflict, things like that, but I like the style. The art style was well done. The character was well written. Just really happy with the execution. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Previously, though, she had been hanging out with the Red Hood. If you're familiar with that character.
It's a good series. Red Hood and the Outlaws. Yeah, that's really good. It's Jason Todd as Red Hood, obviously, with Starfire and Roy Harper, Red Arrow. So that's really, really good series. I bought that when the New 52 started as well, and that's phenomenal series.
One thing that always worried me about that Red Hood name, it's more like a red dome than it is a hood.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's almost like a motorcycle helmet.
One of those weird little canisters you put tennis balls in, almost like.
Yeah.
But of all the controversy of Jason Todd coming back as Red Hood, that character has never been more interesting.
Oh, he's awesome.
More exciting.
So good. Good.
The Red Hood animated series was great. That whole series, Hush.
Yes.
All of those areas are just been great. So it's almost like you always say there's certain things you should never touch, like Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, things like that. But it seems like as long as the storyline is well done, even Bucky, the Winter Soldier.
They knocked it out of the park with Bucky. I mean, even translating it to the big screen was magnificent. So it can be done, but it's got to be done right.
Yeah, and Red Hood was done perfectly. Like, that was the way they brought him back, or the way they brought Jason Todd back with Ra's al Ghul and Lazarus Pit and all that stuff. It was perfect, and it ties into all the DC lore, which is awesome. And it just made it great because it showed that the Lazarus Pit does mess with your mind a little bit. Which is what happened to Jason Todd, which made him go on the killing sprees when he first came back to TC. So I love the character. Like you said, he's a lot more interesting than when he was Robin. That's for sure.
Yeah, he was considered the jerk Robin.
Jerk Robin.
Yeah, I was one of those ones that when I was a kid, that's when the voting took place, the 900 number, and I was like, killing. I was like, just please kill him. And then it was weird because then he got melancholy when they actually announced that he died. It was like, man, did we really just kill this guy? Like,
Bobby, did your parents get a little nervous about that 1-900 number on your on their phone bill?
Yeah, my dad's
really, like, it's for comics, I swear.
Yeah, when I went to my dad, I was like, can I call this 900 number? And he's like, why do you want to call a 900 number? And I said, well, I want to kill Jason Todd. And he goes, First off, he goes, because he knows Dick Grayson, he don't know Jason Todd, and he's like, "Who the hell is Jason Todd?" And I said, "Oh, it's Robin." And he goes, "Why would you want to kill Robin?" And I was like, "Dad, just please." So he said, "Okay." So I called. He let me call twice. So I called and killed it. I did the 2 calls to kill him, and then when the month was done, I was like, "Wow, did I really just do this to this guy?" And it was funny. It was good.
It's a lot of guilt to put on a young boy.
Yeah, a little kid. I mean, it's
very enormous decision. Yes.
Yeah. But it was cool how they did it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny if you do like that type of storyline. An animated movie that's really good is Batman Beyond: The Return of the Joker. Highly recommend that. It's one of the best animated films. DC
I've never seen that, and I heard how great it is, and I've been meaning to watch it, and I just always forget because I never really got into Batman Beyond too much. Just something about and I know, and as a Batman fan, you would think that I would love that setting, but I just didn't really ever. I guess it was like in that time where I was like I thought I was a little too old for comics, and I kind of walked away from it all. So that was one of the things I walked away from. But I think I'm going to go back and try to find that and definitely watch it.
Yeah, and they actually rebooted Batman Beyond as part of the New 52, and they've added I won't spoil anything, but they've added a unique take on it that I think is really good, that really connects Batman New 52 to Batman Beyond. So
That's
no
cool.
more spoilers. So yeah, and before I forget, lest we always forget, Charlie, there will be spoilers in the podcast. So if there's something right now, I don't think we've spoiled anything, but in the future there may be some spoilers we talk about. We won't spoil each other because but we want if there's something we talk about that you are not caught up on yet, come back. But we want to have good discussions. So
Right. And yeah, like for example, you're going to talk about a show in the TV segment that I set the machine to grab that episode. So I hope you will not say too much.
No, I will not. Bobby, any comics this week from you?
No comics this week. I haven't. Like I said, I wait till I kind of get the whole storyline before I read. I don't necessarily read issue to issue. I'm too old. I can't remember what happened this month.
I run into that too. It's a terrible reminder of
horrible.
age.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. I'll be sitting there reading and go, what? Why is Bruce Wayne doing this? And then I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I got to go pull the last issue to look up. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm done with that. So.
Yeah, it's kind of an exception that I read single issues, but it's because of After Convergence. I wanted to just check in on a couple select books. Same thing with Secret Wars.
Right.
Same thing there. I wanted to check in on a few different books, but yeah, I will not be reading all of these single issues. But,
yeah, it's too much of a commitment. Well, and again, on that note, nothing kind of new out of me. It was a bye week for me for the Secret Wars titles that I am following. But I think I'd have to check Comixology, but I think I'm back with something new next week, so I will have something to report on when we return. So moving on to a TV, it looks like, Todd, you were doing some DVR catch-up.
Yeah, before we move on, Charlie, I can only see the top of your head.
Oh.
Yeah,
It looks like you're sinking.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I don't really know why you need to see my head so much, but look, there I am.
Well, our adoring fans.
Not there. There you go. Hear no evil.
Yes. So in the world of TV, I'm doing catch-up. So the 3 things I watched this week, I started off with Gotham. I just finished up the first episode where they introduced the Ogre, which is the serial killer. That apparently if he finds out you're investigating him, he will go after your families. So this is played by Emilio Ventimiglia from Heroes, playing the serial killer. And we've also had a update on Fish Mooney. She's escaped the island of Dr. Plastic Surgery. I don't know what his name is.
Dr. Muckety Muck, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, so that's happened, and also Bruce is still on his investigation of, what happened, why did Alfred's buddy stab him, and we kind of have just a reveal that Wayne Enterprises is investigating Bruce to find out what he knows. So that mystery continues. I think there's 2 more episodes left. So I did enjoy the episode. It's thankfully DirecTV. They have a decent on-demand selection, so they're all there. So I can catch up that way. But you cannot fast forward or you can rewind, but you can't fast forward. So
right. Yeah. Well, they got to pay the piper somehow, so they got to make you watch those commercials. It's nature of the beast.
Yeah, I know a lot of people said the first season kind of ended on but I still want to watch it. I've enjoyed it. We'll see if it brings me back for season 2, but so far, why not? I've got a couple more episodes to watch. Bobby, did you watch Gotham at all?
I started and I stopped. I really, I guess as a big Batman fan, it just rubbed me wrong. There was a lot of stuff that they're doing that I just look at and I go, why? Like, with the Joker apparently coming in and all that, and it's like, and even the Riddler. Like, my understanding, all that I've ever read comics was the Riddler and Bruce Wayne are pretty much the same age. And in this, the Riddler is basically the same age as Jim Gordon, and it's like, what are you doing? And Bullock wasn't Jim Gordon's partner, and he is in this. You know, Flass was his partner, and you know they show Flass, and he's in. You know, he's a detective in there, but like that whole year one, how they were introduced was just better, and I don't like how they're doing things. And then Leslie Tompkins with that's kind of when I stopped. When her and Jim Gordon started to have like a romantic thing, I was like, no, I'm out. I'm done. Like, this is just, it's not. I don't know. It seems, can't put my finger on it. It just seems hokey, for lack of a better term. Like, there's just something about it that just doesn't grab me, and I don't know what it is. When they first started talking about this show, like, I was really hopefully, I think when they first kicked around ideas, the idea was to do Gotham City Police Department. And basically, it was going to be like a grittier, realistic cop show with Batman. But not Batman. Like, you would see signs that Batman was around, but you would never see Batman. So, like, you might find two villains that are tied up on the top of a roof, and that would be, like, there might be, like, a Batarang or something there that would make people go, oh, there's Batman. Or the cops might talk about that guy that goes around at night. But they went a totally different direction, and it kind of feels campy to me for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I guess after watching Arrow and Flash, that's so well done, this just doesn't, it's not grabbing me. And I tried. I watched the whole I watched the whole up to the midway point when they cut off, and I just never went back.
Yeah, I actually stopped watching, and then I got past a certain episode. I caught back up. But I totally get what you're talking about with the GCPD. There's some great characters there. I do like what they've done with Harvey Bullock. I really like the guy who plays him.
I do. I like Harvey Bullock. Yeah, I do like Harvey Bullock. I just don't like the role. I don't, because it's not following. And you know what? It's the nature of being a comic book fan.
Yeah.
Like, you get upset because they're not following the lore that you remember as a kid. So I just said, you know what? I'm not going to be one of those guys to just scream and cry about it. I'm just going to not watch it.
Not one of those book is better than the movie types.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like the book is better than the TV show, absolutely. But I'm not going to be one of those guys that are like crying about it on the internet. I'm just walked away from it and just like let it go, you know.
Yeah, I never followed it closely enough myself to really know. So I enjoyed the show too. I would say that it definitely dragged a bit to start. Yeah. I like the back half of the season myself better.
Well, something's probably going to give with me, though, because there's so many shows coming out this fall.
Yeah.
I only have so much throughput to watch shows, so that Gotham may be a show that falls to the wayside unless they really do something unique.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. I watched a new show that I guess was part of the Fox Animation Domination, like late night, where they introduced like a weird dark take on Archie comics, which was weird. And then they brought in Axe Cop as well, which was a comic book. They did that. Well, they made something called Golan the Insatiable, and the take is, and now this is on Fox at like Fox Sunday Animation timing. So I don't know if this is just because they need a filler because American Dad moved off, but the storyline of this show is a little girl who's kind of a goth, kind of a edgy little 12-year-old has apparently summoned a demon called Golan the Insatiable. And you think, oh my god, this is going to be horrible. Well, the demon is kind of just a weird dude. I don't know how the best way to describe him. Think of like Will Ferrell, maybe, kind of like with Zach Galifianakis, but just kind of does his thing, and he's not really big into like the all of the demon-y things. So this girl's kind of heavily disappointed that this isn't the evil demon that she wanted, but she's still going to try to follow him to get him to be the evil demon that she wants him to. And this whole episode was that she was looking to find a new follower for him. So she was looking for a nomination, but Golan really wanted to be in with the cool kids. He wanted to get invited to the 17th super 17-year-old birthday party, and that's what he was focused on. So it's a weird show, and it's got a little gore, a little goo, and it's a little different. And I know what they were going for. I just felt like the jokes just didn't come through. But if you want something different, it's on Sundays on Fox. It's called Golan the Insatiable. It's probably a miss for me. I'll move on. But I thought I'd get,
Wow.
it might kind of remind me of like Bob's Burgers, where I was like kind of iffy about that show, but I watched that. This had the opposite reaction.
Oh, just didn't snag you, huh?
Did not.
Yeah.
So it's probably a miss. And the last show, The Killjoys. This is on
All right,
Sci-Fi.
now don't dabble, because this is the one I set the machine for.
I won't. I don't know,
Tread
Bobby.
lightly.
Had you heard about this show, The Killjoys?
I have not.
Okay, well, I'll just give you the premise. It's a new show on Sci-Fi. I believe it's based on a comic book series. You have two bounty hunters in the far future. There's spaceships and things like that. They work for an agency, and they take on bounties and things like that. It's got Shawn Ashmore, one of the Ashmore brothers, who I believe played Iceman. I always get them screwed up.
Iceman or Jimmy Olsen? One of the two.
I always get them two mixed up. Yeah.
It's got one of the Ashmore twins. But I will say overall, I enjoyed it, but I was a little disappointed because once again it's in the far future, but there are no aliens. So I really would have liked to have seen different life forms and things come in play. But I thought it was well done. Had a wry sense of humor. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Firefly in that sense, but not bad. So I'll probably watch a couple more episodes and give it my final verdict.
All right. Yeah, I set the machine, and I think we'll check that out. It probably airs the first episode, which I'm sure I could also grab on demand, but I just never tend to think of that kind of stuff. But it'll probably pop up on my DVR, and we'll check it out. So we can talk about it a little bit more next week.
I will say the female lead is quite fetching. So you might want to watch it for that.
Quite fetching.
Quite fetching.
All right. Well, Bobby, how about you? Any TV?
The only thing that I watched this week was only major thing was Game of Thrones. My mom went blank.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I had been like totally I guess in awe of that show that I just totally blanked it out. But yeah, Game of Thrones. Tell us about Game of Thrones, Bobby.
I liked it. You know what? I didn't read the books, so I don't know. This is all coming new to me, so I don't know if things are supposed to be happening the way they're happening and all that stuff. But like, I thought the show was good. I got questions. I felt like they skipped stuff, like Bran Stark. Like he just disappeared this whole season, and it was like, okay, like this kid has these powers, and all of a sudden he just poof, he's gone. So that kind of threw me for a loop. But I love the fact that like Sansa and Theon are starting to rise up, so to speak. I like that. It's a lot of good stuff. They left, and the cliffhangers, man, they just like cut it off. Like they were like, here's where you are, poop, cut it off. And I like that. Like they got you coming back. They do. That's the one thing that show does, is some great cliffhangers that make you come back.
Yeah, sadly, Bobby, Theon cannot get up or rise up.
Well,
Rise down. Sit down.
wow.
Sit down.
Wow.
We went there. Sorry.
That was the worst scene I've ever seen in my life, man.
Oh,
that was
Ramsay
brutal.
Bolton. That's my biggest disappointment. Ramsay Bolton is still alive.
Yeah,
I hate him.
Well, they got to keep him alive so they can wank him.
Yeah,
I mean, we had a cliffhanger with like you said, Sansa and Theon. They did I guess Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
Yep.
Right.
Dove off. We don't know what happened to him.
You don't know what happened to him?
Yeah, he finally got a spine, which was great. We had the other one was Arya exacted revenge. She used the face.
Jesus.
We didn't know at first who it was. It was her.
That was brutal.
It was very brutal. I mean, she took and I'm trying to remember who that guy killed.
He killed the guy that trained her.
Oh, that's right. The swordsman.
Yeah, the guy that trained her how to use a sword, that her father brought in to train her how to use a sword, he brutally killed him.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
So that was
that was pretty brutal.
Payback's a bitch. Yikes.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah. And then we had, she went back to the temple and said, oh, didn't happen tonight, and she was going to take out the Thin Man on the docks. That was her assassination attempt, and unfortunately backfired on her. They knew she lied.
Yes.
What she thought was her mentor who died, because he thought he had to take a life, so he took his own life. Well, it wasn't him. It's pretty much the misdirection of those faces and who is who, and she ended up being blinded at the end. So that's an interesting take.
Yeah, that was. Like I said, they did. Jon Snow was the biggest one. I don't want to say anything, but like for those that didn't see it, I don't want to ruin the show. But like that one blew me away. Like I watched that and I was like, wow. Because I had all these mindsets of like what was going to happen with him, and then that hit, and I was just like, "Holy cow!" Like, you just
I mean, quite honestly, who's left to I mean, we've got Arya, Sansa, and Bronn.
Yeah,
that's about it.
But
the rapidly diminishing Stark clan. Yes,
yeah. But I feel like Bran is the most powerful of them all. With this, whatever power he has, to control people, it's like he's the Jedi. He can control people with their mind and stuff. So it's like, the lesser mentally stable, he can, like Hodor. He was basically controlling Hodor that one week. So it's interesting to say the least. I almost was waiting for Jon Snow to turn, like, because he was talking about how all the White Walkers came up, and I was waiting for the end for him to turn, and it didn't. They just cut it off. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. And then there was another one. Oh man.
We had the big. I think the big was the shame as she walked.
Oh, that was
Cersei.
Wow.
They always did a body double. I didn't realize that. I'm like, how do you do a body double? But I guess it was.
I read a whole article, and they photoshopped her head on, and they did a lot of quick cuts, and it was. So I read this article with the body double woman, and they shot that last October. That's when they wrapped this show up. So it spends that much time in post production.
Yeah. I was glad that I can't stand her. She drives me up a wall, man. Like, because I look at it and I go, you did this. You started all this for revenge. You get it. That's good. I was good with that. So,
did you like who picked her up at the end?
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know who scooped her up.
The Mountain.
Is that who that was?
Yes, it was. The Maester is dealing in a little bit of necromancy.
Yeah, I was pretty sure.
That's right. Wow, I didn't think about that, because that's who he had the one day, and he was like tinkering with him to bring him back to life, right?
That's right.
A little Frankenstein. Man. Yeah, I didn't make the connection. That's crazy.
Wow,
it's a little freaky.
I'm waiting for. What has me excited is I'm waiting for the beginning because you know what's going to happen. They're going to kill that church. They're just going to go in and just wipe them out. But I think the cool thing is like they also, her daughter died.
Mm-hmm. That was a big. Yeah, that was a big. Yeah.
It was funny because I was like, man, she's letting her go kind of okay. And then next thing you know, like all of a sudden when she started bleeding, I said, oh my God, she kissed her. And that was it. Like, yeah, it was. And then I remember when the daughter did it to the guy in the cell, and it was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously there'll be a reaction from her fiance because he obviously loved her, and I don't know what that means because now, I mean, is Westeros is not in a position to really go to war against anyone else, especially when we find out about the White Walkers. I mean,
right
when that news gets down to Westeros, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, so next season's going to be, I mean, everything will converge next season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So you only have to wait a year. So get ready.
Yeah, right. Just let it keep rolling. Well, that's the cool deal. Good. The movies was a little dry this week. I saw a non-genre movie that has been talked about ad nauseum, which was Pitch Perfect 2. Enjoyed it. Very funny. But yeah, not a heck of a lot more to say. Obviously, not an instant classic, but was giggling all the way through. So.
Yeah, I think my son would probably want to watch that. I think he likes musicals and things like that, and he's actually going to be in a production of Oliver in the next month. So, a musical, as he tells me. Telling Dad he's wrong, but yeah, he's going to be in that. So I think he really enjoys, music and things like that. So I think it might be fun to check out.
Good.
Hopefully, it's not too, too old for his ears.
Yeah, it kind of dabbles a fine line. Probably a lot would be over the head.
Okay, well, that's good.
Such a young man, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. There's no graphic. There's nothing graphic, but a lot of Randy humor.
Well, hopefully there's lots of fart jokes because
there are actual an ample quantity of fart jokes.
Oh, good.
You'll be pleased. You'll be pleased. So, well, all right. Well, how about you, Bobby? Any movies this week?
No movies, none at all.
we're in a weird lull. What's the next big release that we get? I know we got Ant-Man is coming up.
Well, Inside Out came this week. Yeah, Inside Out came out this week. Okay. Terminator's coming up. Ant-Man is coming up in July.
Fantastic Four is August, I think. So yeah. we're kind of getting into the back half, but excuse me. Oh, boy, you can edit out my yawn.
It's just pouring through us. Yes.
Oh my goodness, sorry.
Okay, well, let's move on to games then. Okay. Charlie, you just got an Xbox One. Congratulations.
I did. It was a split between me and the young man. He made some. My stepson made some money working for his grandparents up north, so he came back and we went halfsies on the Xbox One. So I did grab a game for it that we've been talking about for months: the Disney Infinity Marvel Superheroes. So kind of crazy. Everybody knows the concept. You've got this little play pad with 2 slots, and again, we just have the one controller. We haven't picked up a second controller yet, so I've just been experimenting. You get 3 modules, I think, with the starter pack, and 3 figures. So you get 2 missions, and then you get this little statuette that's the Avengers Prime thing. And maybe, Todd, you can talk me through a little bit more of this, but you get 3 playable figures, and of course they're plug and play, so you set them on the base and they turn into the game. And what I found out playing today, April will sit me with I was playing, is that if you screw around to get one character killed off, you got to plop him off and put somebody else on. So it behooves you to keep purchasing these little figures, otherwise your ass is going to be through.
That's right. That's the activity that kids can have now. The getting up and putting somebody on. Yeah. I mean, there are 2. There's the main story missions, which is what you get the thing. The story missions, you do those together. Sadly, you cannot in the story-based missions. You cannot get Mickey Mouse to go with Star-Lord and go off on a mission. Nope, you can't.
Yeah, not on the main mission. That's what I've been wondering about, because I don't have any non-Marvel characters yet. But if I bought, Baymax or something, can I not plug him in and have him in a mission somewhere with Iron Man? Or
no, what those characters can intermingle in the the toy box is what they call it. The toy box is really where people are creating levels and content, and they're themed, and they actually sell these little discs that actually create backgrounds and elements that look like the worlds. So you can get the team ups of the heroes, and they do crazy things, and I think they've made over 500,000 player-generated levels.
Oh my
content that you can play online for free. So it's kind of fun. So that's something you can do. The kids would love it because they've made, racing levels. They've made, things that look like Tron and different. It's really fun. That's one of the biggest parts. Obviously, that's what Disney Infinity does best right now is the creative elements. And in the next one, they're actually going to have the people that made Sonic Racing. They're going to be a dedicated racing game in Disney Infinity 3.0. Yeah, so it's going to get better. So that's what's cool.
Well, you'll have to continue educating me on it, because for now I'm just kind of flopping around and I don't know too terribly much. So we'll keep working on my education. Lego Batman decided to plug it in. I still have the Xbox 360, but I decided to flip that on today. Grabbed a couple more gold bricks, and I'm at 99.6%. 2 gold bricks left, and they're races, and they're the flying races that can be a little challenging. But I think before the weekend is through, I want to be done with it. I want to just be like, I beat it. Finally,
time for Jurassic Park.
Well, yeah, I think after the move happens, when we figure out, April and I are going through some crazy transition where the house we've been living in, it's being sold, so we're looking to find a new place. We think we've got a lead on a place, but it's just all this blah. So that's why I haven't had a whole lot of activity this week with reading and watching shows. But I'll get back on the horse. Just got to get some things a little more stabilized. So anyway, that is me. How about you?
Well, let's go to Bobby. Bobby, what's new in the world of games?
I've been playing like a madman Splatoon, obviously. I've got, as of today, since launch, I've put 83 hours into that game.
How do you see how many hours you have in?
You go into your daily log. So
Okay.
once you go into your daily log, then you click the actual game, and it'll pop up, and it'll show. Because when you go to the daily log, it'll show you how many hours per day. When you actually click the game, it brings up another screen and shows you how many hours total and how many times you've played the game total. So I checked today, just out of curiosity. I'm up to 83 hours on that one, and then it's a lot. It's taking my life over.
And it only came out May 29th?
3 weeks, like 3 weeks
Yeah.
ago, something like that. Yeah, like I'm clocking some hours. But you know what? And you got a little taste of it. Like we get a group together almost every single night, and because I have it seemed like you guys have a Facebook group. I have a Facebook group called the Geek Gurus, and more or less like we get a bunch of people together and we just go in and start playing, and it winds up we typically get anywhere from 4 to 8 people that go in and just take a room over kind of and start running roughshod as we can, if we can. So that and I've started playing Earthbound Beginnings, and that was one game that came out of E3 that I was extremely happy to hear announced, and I bought it immediately, and I love that game.
I mean, I got Earthbound on the Virtual Console. Haven't touched it yet, but I will eventually try it. Is Earthbound Beginnings, was it a game that they started making? Was it a game that was previously released? Or brand new?
Earthbound Beginnings is Mother 1.
Okay, so it's an NES game.
Yes, Earthbound is actually Mother 2.
Oh, Mother 2, okay.
Yeah, Mother 1 was a good game, but it wasn't like this. They felt like the American audience wouldn't really care for it as much. Earthbound Mother 2 was the better of the two games. So they launched that thinking, okay, this will start the series in the United States. And then they did Mother 3, which was a Game Boy Advance game that never came to the States either. For whatever reason, unfortunately, Earthbound hit at a weird period. First off, the game was like $70 or $80 when it came out for a Super Nintendo game.
That's like 87 money?
Yeah.
Plus it up by, a factor of 3.
Yeah.
So that's delivered a lot of newspapers if you're a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the problem was, it wasn't a problem. When you looked at what you were getting the game, and you were getting this big, thick strategy guide along with it to help you with the game. So for me, I bought the game, but the other problem was that it was at the end of the life cycle of the Super Nintendo. The Nintendo 64 was looming. People knew it was coming, so they just kind of let it go, and it's the same thing we're at right now with the Wii U. People are like, do I buy these games, or do I buy this console for this game, or do I wait till the next console? It's the same thing back then. But the Super Nintendo got a lot of love. It was a long system, but it was just that game particularly came at the end of the life cycle, so it got a bad rap that people didn't like it because it didn't sell as much. But Smash has woken Nintendo's eyes, apparently. So Beginnings it's an NES game, but it looks similar and plays similar to Earthbound. There's not a lot of differences so far. The map isn't as good. Like when you click the map, it's kind of like dots. When you click the map in Earthbound, you see actually towns and more detail to it. So, but otherwise, like storyline, I'm not gonna say it's similar because it's not. But your dad's not there. Same thing as Earthbound. Like your mom's at the house with your sister. So a lot of similarities to the two, but not. Earthbound, to me, so far, is definitely the better game. Earthbound Beginnings, though, you kind of, if you love the Earthbound, you kind of want to go back and play the prequel, so to speak.
Yeah, it's an interesting series. It's just weird. It's like there's money to be made. I think it's just like there's already a fan translation for Mother 3.
Yes.
Even if they wanted to just use that. But I mean, I'm sure people would just even volunteer their services.
They already said, the fans told them, like, Nintendo, if you want it, we'll give it to you. But whether that happens or not, who knows, But I wish they would, because that game is apparently that's the best game of the series. It was like it hit the high point there, and we never got it here in the States. So
Well, they're just waiting to make an HD remake that's going to be on the Nintendo NX, Bobby.
stop. Stop.
And it's funny because the way I met Bobby is we were both members of a Nintendo Facebook group. It's based on a Nintendo IGN podcast.
Mhm.
And I think when Bobby first saw my comments, he's like, "Who is this idiot who keeps being so negative about Nintendo? Oh my God!" And shout out to Frank Clark as well.
Yeah.
He's the same way. And I'm like, at first I'm like, I don't even know what to think about these guys. I'm like. And it was just funny. It's like I think ultimately you get to know. I love Nintendo. I go back to the NES. I've owned every system except for the SNES and then 64. Those are the only systems. And I never owned handhelds until the GBA. It was just a point in my life. But I've loved them, and so it's been an interesting ride where PS1 was actually the system that brought me back. But when I got the PS1, my buddy had the N64, but I didn't have that. I could only choose one system.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, I got the GameCube, got everything else. So I mean, I've really kept up with the Nintendo. It's just interesting, and with having a child now, Nintendo's a great system to have because it really caters to that group. So
Listen, as I'm looking, your son's playing Splatoon, so I
he
can't
is.
say anything. The kid knows what he's doing, man.
Oh, he is. He's a beast in that game. And he's telling me, "Dad, you got to do this and you got to do that." He was so mad about the Splatfest being canceled, and he was upset because he was so excited about it, and he was talking about it soccer today.
Yeah, I was upset when that went down, because you know what, it was kind of I liked what they were doing. It was a different thing. You were going to play the maps were going to be nighttime per se, and the ink was going to glow. So it was kind of a cool thing that they were doing. But I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad that they pulled the plug on it. If it was as bad as they're saying, then it's better they pulled the plug than just gave everybody a bad experience. So I give them credit with that.
And you knew the dog people were going to far away the cat people.
Oh,
it was just unbanned.
Of course. Everybody I talked to was dog. There was only a few people that were cats.
Yeah, Splatfest Charlie was going to be this weird, big online event with Splatoon, and the thing was you had to vote, dogs or cats.
Oh, God.
And it was kind of like on vote, and I assumed what they were going to do, Bobby, is they were just going to team dogs versus cats people.
Yes, that's what they would.
Maybe that's what totally broke it.
That could be. But in theory, the idea was, and I could be wrong, but my understanding was dogs versus cats, and then at the end of the weekend, whoever won a prize, like maybe a shirt or something like that. That was like showing that you were on that team that won. So that was kind of neat that they're doing that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like that they're embracing the game, and I've I've played the game. I've finished level 3 of the campaign, and I really like that. I actually would prefer if they made a full game campaign game.
That was
co-op would be a lot of fun together. I think with that, the multiplayer is fun, but
you said that in the NVC Facebook group. You had said that if they made it where it was like a raid system, and once you said that, I was like, wow, that would be cool. Like if you had 3 friends that were just you went into a level and you just ran the level and got to the end and fought the boss, but they would have to ramp those bosses up to be like that last boss.
Oh yeah.
And you haven't gotten to the last boss yet. That guy is a beast.
Yeah, and everybody would need certain type of weapons because you'd need to take out you need the sniper for guys over there. You'd need the paint rollers for some. So yeah, I think there's some great things they could do. A sequel would be great, and I think that's going to be awesome because it's been successful. I'm glad it's successful. I've had a lot of fun with it. The voice chat's the one thing that still gets under my skin because you and I were Facebook messaging each other, and I'm like, it would just be so fun to just shoot the shit.
We did that. We did it.
In Skype.
I think the following day it was me and my buddy Alvaro and Mark from the Warp Whistle. The 3 of us got together one day, one Saturday for about 40 minutes, and it was fun. But the funny thing was, we weren't even talking strategy. We were
it's just BS. Just have fun.
But I was getting killed. I was getting so mad.
You get distracted.
Yeah, I'm sitting there getting spanked, and I'm like, all right, guys, I can't do this talking and playing at the same time. I'm horrible at it.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite thing, and unless you have anything else game-wise to talk about, because we're going to talk more about games in the future. But that's one of the reasons why I love Destiny, because I've met so many cool people. people on Destiny. I know Nintendo was very worried about negative connections, but quite honestly, I've met so many good friends, made so many good connections. Ray Azario, I'm not sure if you know him, Bobby. Yeah, he's on the group. I actually met him playing Destiny online. That's how I met him.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
yeah, I mean, and I've not had a really negative experience yet with Destiny. And there's a million people playing that game, so I think there's an opportunity to really give people what they want.
Yeah.
But on the people they don't want, you don't have to use it. So
I feel like they don't do the voice chat, and I brought this up last night. I was on a Full Fat Gaming's podcast last night, and what my feeling is I feel like, look, Nintendo's just getting into all this. Like, they just started HD. They just got online. When you looked at the online play for the Wii, it was horrible. Like, Smash, they couldn't even get you to match up against people. Mario Kart was just hokey. Animal Crossing was the only game that had decent voice chat and online play. And I just feel like Nintendo being so new, they just can't figure it out to not lose the frame rate. And they're just too much pride to say that. And they don't realize if they would just tell people that, people would probably get off their back.
Well, yeah. I think, give us a reason. And it's one of those things, transparency is always good. We want, we love it when people are honest. And, hey, we love that. We love a story, where people, might say, we disappointed you, but we're going to try harder and it's going to get better. And people love that. People love Nintendo. They are the Disney of video games.
Absolutely.
My Lord. And it's funny. We'll talk about in the future, but of all the things that I think should happen is Nintendo should just embrace their love and just share more love of what people love about their systems and their best memories, and just embrace it more. And they're doing a lot of that. They've come a long way.
They have, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So really quickly, I'll hit on a few things. Because of E3, there was a lot of big things that dropped, but one of the things was, because I have Xbox One, Charlie, you could have participated in this. There was a Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which is the HD version. Well, it was already HD, but basically it's the update of Gears of War coming out on Xbox One this fall with new content, new multiplayer, and everything. Well, they launched a beta where everyone could play it. So I tried it out. And I was horrible. It was fun though. The multiplayer is a lot of fun in Gears. It's not my thing. I like playing co-op campaigns. I like playing all of us together against the common enemy. I'm not really good enough to play and beat anybody else on my own. But it was fun. It doesn't look that much different than Gears when I played on 360, but it was fun. And apparently, if you played it, you would get some things, in the game that comes out probably next year. So played that. Played Splatoon, Bobby. Like I said, got up to I finally finished the third level of the campaign. I think I'm level 9 in multiplayer. Got some new gear and things like that. Tried the paintbrush. Tried that. So it's been fun. I was really glad I got to play with you, because that made the game a lot more fun, because I knew who I was killing or who was killing me. I think your wife killed me a few times. And Charlie, Bobby's wife plays online with him too. She must be a saint to put up with Bobby's antics, but that's cool.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, and then let's see.
Listen, we have the second Wii U because of her, not because of me. She was like, I need my own Wii U to play. I want to play. I was like, okay. So.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's great. I was glad to see you guys online. Like I said, the only thing I wish could have been, like, if we had been voice chats, and there could have been more interaction. But I really enjoy it. It's a fun game. It's probably long term. I'm not going to keep sticking with it, because I've got other games to play, but it's fun. I like where they're going for first step.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Destiny. Wow, I think I'm going to put that game away for a while. I'm kind of burnt out. A buddy of mine, I might play this weekend, because the wife is actually out of town in Florida for the next 5 days. So I can probably do some late night gaming with my buddy. Try to get my guy up to level 34, because they did announce new content coming out in September. And so really, I don't have to rush through it. There's nothing really big coming up for another 3 or 4 months. Put that on hold. But it's still a lot of fun. But the game I've been playing a lot lately on my phone is called Alphabeti, and it's on iOS or Android. It's a spelling game. Basically, it's like you're matching, but you're spelling words. And it's just like a lot of those Candy Crush games, but you're spelling words. So to me, it's more of it's using your brain. It's fun. It's free. They can try to get you with their microtransactions, but they won't get me, because I'm cheap.
It's too good for me. I'm not too smart to play games like that.
It's super cute. Charlie, you should try it. You're a journalist from back in the day. You'd score Uber points.
way back today. Let me stop you for one sec. Let's break the fourth wall here. Are you reading the message from Todd? Or from John? It sounds like he's got some news. Can you conference him in?
I can send them, yeah. So,
Yeah.
let me forward in. What, we've got news?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Star Wars
Bobby, do you know, you probably have not heard Jonathan, if you listen to the podcast in the past, Jonathan Sear is one of our friends from college. He's one of the secret friends, the original secret friends.
Gotcha.
So let's see if he gets
Let
in.
me see if he can.
I just sent him the invite, so that's cool.
Yeah,
We'll wrap up games. So I'll edit this part out. But so Charlie, let's transition actually into news. So
Okay.
so do you want to do the transition, Charlie?
Sure, I will, Todd. No, happy to do it. Good news about the games this week, but really, there's more to be found as we transition by swinging around on those interwebs in the news with Madam Web.
Okay. Does anybody need a break or anything?
I'm good.
Okay, we'll get started. I've got 5 news stories here. Oh, John is on. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll actually bring John back in, and then he can kick off his breaking news.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Hey,
Good.
Johnny. What's up? All right.
John, we got
okay.
Bobby Pauls on the podcast.
Hi,
How you
Bobby.
doing, John?
Oh, I'm
Hello.
having a great day.
All right, I'm gonna count it back in, and then I'm gonna toss it over to our special news correspondent. And so, John, go ahead and take it after I toss it to you. Is that
This
good?
is a Muppet News Flash.
Yeah.
That's what it is, basically.
That's exactly the drop that you need to use when you're doing it. So, okay, Todd,
Right,
go
Guy
ahead.
Smiley.
Guy Smiley. Todd, go ahead and throw me in then.
Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Madam Web. Hopefully the summer is going great for you, and you're remembering to use talcum powder for all that unfortunate chafing. So at any rate, we are very privileged. I know you didn't see that coming, did you? We are very privileged to have a news flash. There's something so important going on that show friend and original secret friend Jonathan Sear had to jump in so he could share it with us. John, take it away.
Ah, thank you, Charlie. Yes, I have got from a very reliable source that 2 important Return of the Jedi characters are confirmed with promotional photos for Episode 7. And
One of them's not Nine is it?
It absolutely is Nine Nun.
No!
Yes, Monkey Face!
Nine Nun, and it's a trap himself, Admiral Akbar, will be appearing.
Yay!
This is according to StarWars7News.com. They
Not
also
the
talk about
news.
no, and also not from JohnMadeThisUp.com either.
You know, with Admiral Akbar coming back, maybe he could be a special character because he's a squid in Splatoon, Bobby.
No.
Well, the really neat thing about this is that they actually have character photo shoots. So these aren't CGI characters. They had people wearing their little motion capture lights. They're there, and they have aged a little, unlike Chewbacca. So very interesting and very cool.
Nice. Well, you will have to share a link so that we can all check it out.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll post
surprised
that.
that leaked. I'm surprised that leaked before San Diego because Star Wars is going to be in San Diego.
Yeah, and apparently, according to this news story we'll jump into in a few minutes here, they're about the only one.
Yeah. So, John, are you going to stick with us through the rest of the news?
Yeah, I'm able to hang out.
Okay,
All right.
Well, so we're gonna go through the news pieces then. So the first big news item is that we all know that Hugh Jackman is going to be closing the book on Wolverine as he moves on to bigger and better things. Well, maybe not bigger and better, but on that character at least that he brought to the screen. Old Man Logan is potentially going to be the last Wolverine movie. So we've talked about Old Man Logan actually last week on the podcast. This is basically Marvel's Unforgiven, with Wolverine in the future, where he no longer uses his abilities because of a horrific thing that happened in the past. And this is showing an older Wolverine who's grizzled and he's reluctant to embrace his hero past. So. Yeah, I love this idea, and I think that would be great if Jackman did this because obviously he's getting older too, and the regimen that dude goes through to get in shape.
He's all kind of ripply.
And he's like, what, 50-something years old?
I know. It makes us all look like crap.
It's horrible. The guy is jacked. Well, I don't want to say.
He is
He's jacked up.
He's too jacked,
man.
Yeah, he is jackmanned up.
Jackman.
I mean,
Jackman-do.
And one of the problems is, just like a lot of these Marvel properties, is when they do the storyline on screen, they're going to run into some issues because a lot of the characters that would be in this are actually part of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They are not part of the mutant universe. Kind of like Civil War has characters that were part of that storyline that Marvel cannot use them. So they'll have to do some retooling, but there are enough characters in the mutant universe that I could see them making some tweaks to this. So I like this idea.
Most definitely.
I think this is the opportunity, of all opportunities, for Fox and Marvel, Disney, to sit down at the table and say, all right, listen, you got Civil War coming up, you want Wolverine for that, we need to borrow some characters for this movie, let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal! A little horse trading, you bet.
Yes, it would be huge. I mean, it drives me crazy that you have these movies and these guys can't, to me, that's free advertising. If you have Wolverine in an Avengers movie, when the next movie happens, it's going to just help you. And I wish these guys would work better together.
Everybody makes money. Everybody can... Teamwork makes the dream work. Think about it.
There is no I in team or X.
Right. Oh my goodness!
That's
you could do a whole podcast on that. Well, hey, let me jam us through to our next story here. Speaking of the kind of the lonely island that Comic-Con is turning into, this news source from Slash Gear says this morning it's become apparent that SDCC, San Diego Comic-Con, isn't the place to be for three of the world's biggest names in comic book based entertainment. Marvel, Sony, and Paramount Pictures have all confirmed they will not be making presentations at San Diego Comic-Con in 2015. Seems pretty unheard of and unprecedented that the whole trio won't be there rolling news out. So it really, to me, it begs the question, is Comic-Con starting to are they on their way to their Waterloo, or are they on their way out?
I think they've peaked. Seriously, if you look at it, I know that Marvel is big in New York. They like the New York City Comic-Con, and they like stuff closer on the East Coast for that. But you got to think, with the Disney cons that they've been doing lately, and I think it was at D21, they do a lot of stuff there. I think we're in a situation where DC kind of pulled away the past couple of years from the con. They're not as... Warner Brothers and stuff, they're not as huge as Marvel has always been. And I think Marvel's looking at that and going, you know what, maybe we should back off a little bit. But personally, I feel like that's where a lot of your success has come from, because your interaction with the fans. And if you pull that away, you're going to upset some people. And I think it's gonna bite them.
I think Marvel's giving wide berth, though, to Star Wars. Because this is... Star Wars is big, and it's this fall. That's where Star Wars will be there. DC's also going to have a big presence this year, because I think we're going to see a lot of Suicide Squad, and we're going to see a lot of Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
So I think they felt like there's just too much going on, and let's get Star Wars in the limelight. Because the next big movie that will be coming out is Civil War.
Yep.
And I'm not sure, what big event will happen closer to that. I'm trying to think of another big showing that they could have. Is there any big press conference or anything? D23, is that the big Disney thing? Is that coming out in the fall?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
So maybe that's where it'll show.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it'll be at our local Portland Wizard World Comic.
Oh, what? Maybe we'll see something in Chicago. It'll be a month after Comic-Con.
No, it's going to be in Jersey, Vineland Comic-Con, right? Right, Bobby?
Yeah.
Grand Rapids Comic-Con in October. There you go.
Red Bank, it'll be at Kevin Smith's Comic.
Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash.
Yeah, Bobby's New Jersey, so he's...
Yes. Are you now? All right, yes. Springsteen.
No, Springsteen sucks.
Oh, it's a Civil War on the podcast.
Ooh.
Listen, when I was in the '80s, Springsteen was a god. After that, he's horrible.
He's kind of a marbled mouth mamma jamma these days. I agree with you. But
Yeah, Bobby strikes me as a Milli Vanilli fan.
I can put
Why not?
I can put on Born to Run and just be transported back to high school. Everything is good.
No, you're right. You're right with that. That was a great album.
Yeah. Okay, gents. Who wants the next story?
Why don't John? Do you have the flow up? Why don't you take a crack?
Actually, let's have Bobby do this
Or
one.
don't.
Bobby, why don't you take this one?
No, Charlie.
I said
I just got the flow.
News. Okay, so last one was San Diego. A new partner.
Yep. If you click the link, you can open that up. Yep.
Let me open that link up.
What do you know, Joe? Just remember.
And John can do the last one. John can do the last story, and I'll edit this. So
don't you remember Flanders' elderly mother? What do you know, Joe?
So basically, the headline's reading that Detective Joe West's new partner for the Flash upcoming season 2 revealed, and it looks like because Eddie Thawne basically died, so that way he could take out Ebar Thawne. I'm not seeing where it's saying. Say who it is?
Yes, the character is Patty Spivot.
Oh, okay, there it is, way down there.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Patty Spivot.
yeah, Patty Spivot.
Yeah. I remember her.
I know who that is. I actually have legitimate intel.
Oh, I thought Patty Spivot was a barista at my local Starbucks. Sorry, carry on.
She started out there, but she actually was Barry Allen's love interest in the New 52 Flash reboot.
What? Oh, John's pulling some knowledge.
Yeah, that's exactly what it said. Yeah, he's on. He's right. Yeah, that's what this article's saying. She's most likely the spunky, fun, and funny Felicity Smoke-like love interest the show has been sent to the kids to call for. Yeah.
So is Iris gonna be the Lana of the Flash? Like it's gonna be a back and forth. Will they? Won't they?
Will they? Won't they? Mulder and Scully.
Well, they got to do something. I mean, let's be honest. In television, that's what it always is. That when the guy gets the girl, the show flops, and that's how Smallville was. I mean, when Clark was chasing Lana, the show was great, and the minute he got her, the show died. It was like horrible.
Yeah, so. she was, and then they got rid of her altogether.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we're going to get more announcements about Flash because we don't know a lot about what's going to happen with Flash because apparently Flash has gone somewhere, disappeared.
Yes.
Eddie died. And that's about it. All we know. So
that show is so good. God, I love that show. That show.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Just so you know, my take on that particular Patty Spivot character, I had never heard of her before I started reading the Flash trades for the New 52. And I thought it was a pretty good character. So, I mean, obviously they won't translate it to the TV show, like, one-to-one exactly. This is how she was. This is how she's going to be on the show. But there is, that's not a completely made-up, grabbed out from the Nethersphere name or character that they're just throwing in there. There's actual legitimacy to that person.
Cool. I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Heck yeah. Well, this next story, if I might be so bold, touches me, and I know there were a lot of haters and a lot of skeptics that when this companion series of The Walking Dead, which is going to be called Fear the Walking Dead, which is coming out in August, was announced, a lot of people, Todd, you included, said, I'm not interested in another Walking Dead show. That looks ridiculous. Pass. I'll take a hard pass on that. But anyway, we got our first little teaser this week, and it was really jam-packed with suspense. This week, AMC gave us a little teaser trailer, as I said, for Fear the Walking Dead. AMC is laying the groundwork for what they hope will be their next big hit. Shortly after announcing their return to Comic-Con, the network has released a clip from the upcoming Fear the Walking Dead. Unlike its predecessor, this takes place in Los Angeles, and I will never forget. It was probably a year and a half ago. I used to pick up my stepson at school because he went to a charter school on the other side of town. And when this news broke over a year and a half ago, I was telling him about it. He says, what is it going to be, like Walking Dead Los Angeles, like NCIS Los Angeles? And that's exactly what it is.
I hope we get a Who song to open it up.
Yeah, right. Yeah! Yeah, right.
Who are you? Zombies.
All right, so yeah, in this clip, you got a kid named Nick who is a little skinny boy with his shirt flapping open, running through a fence and through a hole in the fence, and the suspense is ratcheted up because you don't see what's chasing him, but you're guessing it's a walker or a runner in this case. So yeah, you're seeing this cat run. It's very suspenseful. Looks pretty cool. Anyway, Fear the Walking Dead revolves around Travis, played by Cliff Curtis, a divorced teacher, and Madison Kim Dickens, a high school guidance counselor. Delane plays Madison's son, who has a troubled history with drugs, while Alicia Debna McCary stars as her ambitious daughter, Alicia. I got to tell you, the only ambition I think you'd have in the zombie apocalypse is not getting eaten. Anybody?
And I think probably the most useless skill set in the zombie apocalypse is being a guidance counselor.
But do you have any advice for how we can run away from this next group of walkers?
Pretty much.
So yeah. So anyway, I think that will be pretty exciting.
Yeah, and,
So,
and
all
I think the blessing it has, it's coming out in August when there's nothing else on.
Right.
That's probably the blessing it has, because then, I mean, this show's going to probably butt up right against The Walking Dead when it starts in October.
I think that's the grand plan. And then I've also read things that these shows it'll be a companion piece, but they will continue to evolve towards the time. Because you got to remember, there's, in the now going to be 6 seasons of The Walking Dead, 2.5 years have passed in that time. This is obviously flashing back to when everything began, but there could be a point when the shows align. And there's somehow a crossover, but nothing specific has been promised. So obviously I'm very excited. I'm a fan of the comics. I'm pretty much read up. Fanatic fan of the show. It's very big in this house with my family. It's probably the only show we sit down and really watch together. So, so we are looking forward to this. So next story, John, do you have the flow up? Because I think this one's
I'm good.
to you.
Yeah, I sent
right.
down. Yeah, okay, you got the link, John? Great.
Yeah, I've got it.
All right, go for it.
Okay, well, this juicy tidbit comes from Blaster. Rumor of the day, Michelle MacLaren could go from Wonder Woman to Star Wars. This article is talking about the second Star Wars anthology spin-off movie that was originally supposed to be directed by Josh Trank, and he left the project. And this Michelle MacLaren, she was the director for the Wonder Woman project. That she also left that project, and apparently she took a meeting here and might take over this particular anthology movie. And she has been involved with Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead, and Game of Thrones. So that could be an interesting director's choice. I think it would be very cool. And who knows whatever is going to happen with that Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, it could be a total bomb.
Yeah, it could be, but this is interesting news.
Yeah, I mean, this will be the first, if it happens, the first female-directed Star Wars ever,
right?
Which is cool.
Well, I mean, there's so many firsts for Star Wars because Papa George is out of the picture, which thank God.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know what this anthology will be. From what I've heard, we heard the potentially the bounty hunter / Han Solo smuggler type film.
Well, I hope it's about Boba Fett.
Well, yes, I sure hope Jar Jar comes back. What?
I want a Jar Jar and Wicket road trip.
like Tommy Boy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God! Exactly.
Gun in a little suit.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I cannot wait. But I think this is great news. I think this could be very cool, and hopefully this is so many years away that this can all just go away.
It's just neat to see the names of people that get attached to these. It's just so much more exciting than when the last go around.
Right.
It's like the Saturday Night Live skits where they always show like the Saturday Night Live the casting for Star Wars where it's Christopher Walken and it's
Jack
Walter Matthau.
Jack Lemmon, yeah, Walter Matthau is Chewbacca. What the fuck is a Wookiee?
Was that SNL After Hours? I don't remember that being in that show.
No, they bleeped it out. They bleeped it out.
Yeah, I might have to. Yeah, we're getting a little blue too.
You got to pull out the Craig Ferguson bleeps there, Todd.
I've never had to, we usually don't have the blue humor. Wow.
Oh boy. Oh well.
On the dark side.
Well, there's more of us in here now.
Our show must be evolving. We're
rated M for
right.
There you go.
Exactly.
Okay,
well
that closes the book on Madam Web's news and rumors. So let's get into the poll list.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the restroom really quick. I'll be back. This
Okay.
won't take
All
too
right.
long. Be a pretty quick
Okay.
blow through, and
And
then
after that,
Bobby and I will wrap it. We'll do the epilogue, and then Bobby and I will wrap up E3.
good. John, are you able to stay on?
Yeah, I'm good. I
All
have
right,
nothing for
cool.
the epilogue or anything, so this is
Oh,
just
okay.
kind of a just for shits and
I
giggles.
know it was big fun. All right, I gotta go take a whiz too. I'll be back. Bye bye.
It's funny. Oh. So you knew these guys in college?
Yeah, I met them in college. I was a roommate of Charlie's.
Okay.
So, gosh, how long has it been, Todd? Was it 95? Is that when we?
Yeah, 95. Yeah. The story goes, Bobby, if you want to hear why we came up with the silly name. We had Charlie and John were roommates at Michigan State, and they had a loft. And in the loft, as they were taking it apart, somebody had carved into the loft "Secret Friends." Was it "Secret Friends Forever"?
Yeah.
John? And I'm like, who would write something so lame? And what is this? So like, it should have a heart around it, or did it have a heart around it? So I'm like, I couldn't believe how lame and stupid this was. Well, it kind of took on a life of its own because Charlie and I and John became roommates. Later on, we all moved to an apartment, and just through the years, when Charlie graduated, I got him a pocket watch, and I put in "Secret Friends Forever."
Oh.
Yeah.
And then that pocket watch unfortunately shattered into 1,000 pieces.
Thanks. So that is the origin story of the Secret Friends Unite, and that's why we kept the name.
He gave me that at Steve Borowski's wedding. I remember.
Yeah. So there you go. A little bit of history lesson. So we're gonna go through the pull list really quick, gentlemen. So Charlie, you want to count me in?
I will do that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's time for the pull list, everyone. It's the time we check in on what is new in the world of geek for TV, movies, comics, and more. We start off with TV, and a lot of these are just returning classics. Classics, I guess, is kind of a
summer shows or summer filler, if you will. Though I do watch one of these.
Yeah, so these are not new shows, but just coming back. We have Under the Dome coming back to CBS. I believe this is season 3. A very successful experiment for CBS at 9 p.m. on Thursday, June 25th.
We follow this one quite closely because my wife is a rabid Stephen King fan, and this is obviously a Stephen King book, which has evolved rapidly, obviously beyond what was actually a very large book, but still 3 seasons of a show is going to diverge and do some different stuff. So a lot of crazy twists and turns in the show. There was definitely a lot of wonky stuff going on in this last season. So
was it inspired by the Simpsons movie?
Oh, how did you know? I actually think that they were both written at the same time. It's amazing. But yeah, I would have to do a catch up to even remember what the hell's going on because it's been a whole year. So because it's just a summer show. So, but yeah, we're looking forward to this, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So I want to check the DVR and make sure it hasn't gotten bumped somehow. Make sure it's still on there. But yeah, we will be watching this one.
And we've got on June 28th, we've got Falling Skies coming to TNT. This might be the last season for this show. I've had good intentions to watch it, but never have.
I dabbled with it because April likes it, and she's like, "Oh, watch the first couple seasons. They're on Amazon Prime." And I don't know that I did. And then I think because I wasn't watching it, she quit watching it. So no clue on this one. Watched it for a little while, but just didn't really capture my imagination. I don't know. Anybody else out there watch it?
I don't.
And
I never watched it.
And a chill filled the room.
Well, I thought it was about Chicken Little, so I never really know.
Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs?
Right.
Well, and we're going to be starting to get some more shows coming out in the next couple of weeks that Sci-Fi is going to be pitching. So we'll have more shows for you to be interested in.
Well, all right.
Then we move on to movies. There's really not a big movie this week, but I thought it was kind of appropriate with Bobby being on. That Kid Begins, The Wish Heard Round the World.
I kind of want to see this. Well, not kind of. I definitely want to see this. It's just a feel-good story, but it's kind of neat how what kid that wouldn't want to be Batman, and he's given the opportunity. I thought it was a great story all around.
Yeah, this is basically a documentary about the little boy who Make-A-Wish granted him a wish to be Batman for one day, and how the whole community came around him to make the wish come true. I mean, they had people dressed up as villains. He stopped crimes. The police were involved. It's just a great thing, and it's all a documentary about this event as it played out, and it's just so adorable and so cute.
Cool. Yeah, that looks great. Definitely, probably not to the theaters for that one, but a red box or a Netflix without that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Good deal. All right, and then next, what do we got here? We're talking about comic books. Looks like we're getting a resurgence of titles running back this week. Now, John, you're the big DC person these days. Why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, I'm turning into a certified DC honk these days. That's a whole conversation for maybe a future episode, but they've just been knocking it out of the park this month with their new launches, in my opinion. But Flash 41, I actually stopped reading The Flash after, I'm going to say, the first 4 trades of New 52. So the last year of The Flash I've not kept up with. So I don't know off the top of my head if this particular writer, Venditti, if this is new for him, but it is definitely a new story that's starting with this particular issue. With Professor Zoom is back, and he's not alone. Who's along for the ride to kill the fastest man alive? Found out here. I will be picking this issue up to give it a go, because I've been picking up a lot of the issues this month, just doing a really big sampler platter. So I'll definitely be checking it out. I do enjoy The Flash. It's just a matter of how much money goes around. So
Right.
we'll take a look. I can give you a review on what I think of it.
Cool. Good deal. And then I would say, Todd, this next one is all about you.
Yeah, Green Lantern, The Lost Army #1. This is by Cullen Bunn and art by Jesus Saez. It says, imagine waking up in a strange place where you didn't recognize anything and everyone you knew and loved was nowhere to be found. Now imagine that you are a Green Lantern. The rest of the Corps is missing and you don't know where you are, and there's not a power battery to be found for as far as your ring can scan. Exactly, it's a lot of words. Where are you? How did you get here? Those are just 2 of the many questions facing our heroes, starring John Stewart, 2/6, Kilowog, and Arisia, and featuring a surprise guest star we promise you'll never predict. Lost Army is an incredible journey of discovery, survival, morality, and heartbreak. Never has the Corps been challenged in this way, and not everyone is going to make it home.
Now, see, I think that sounds interesting. I've grown kind of an appreciation for the whole Green Lantern core concept, even though the execution of the 2011 film with Ryan Reynolds was, I did like.
I'm actually in favor of the execution of that movie.
You think we can pour some gas on it and burn it? But want to talk about weird things that have grown my appreciation for Green Lantern is Lego Batman 3, because that's part of the hub worlds, is that you visit each one of those planets and there's tasks to solve. So I've familiarized myself with so many of the characters because of that. So, I mean, I like them. I think they're cool. So this sounds neat. Todd, if you happen to pick this one up, I will probably read it as well.
I'll give it a go. I like the last Green Lantern I read, so this will be good. And if you do like Green Lantern, I highly recommend the Green Lantern animated series that came out a few years ago. I thought it was really well done.
Wasn't he? Oh, I was going to say he was voiced by Michael Rosenbaum, but that was the Flash, so my bad.
It was the Flash, yeah.
But that was what's his butt? The guy who plays Malcolm Reynolds.
Oh, no, he did not play the voice on that version, but he has been the animated voice.
Yes.
It would be I'm crapping on his name. Nathan Fillion has been the voice of the animated Green Lantern in a lot of the animated movies.
Captain Hammer. So, all right, well, cool. Well, I'll grab this next one because it's getting back into Secret Wars. Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies. So it is a mashup, which is funny, John. Before you jumped on, I was telling these guys we went to go see Pitch Perfect 2 last night and loved it. But speaking of speaking of mashups, this is a Pitch Perfect style mashup. The ultimate death sentence in Battle World. There's no place that's so dangerous that it's walled off. Oh, there's a place that's so dangerous it's being walled off from the rest of Battle World, where wild zombies feast on anything that's been banished for crimes against the state, where cold mechanical Ultrons destroy everything that's human. Pity the fool. Those who get caught between the two, for their death won't be fast and painless. Yowza! I mean, it's a mashup of two great series: Marvel Zombies, which was written by Robert Kirkman, who gave us The Walking Dead, and then Age of Ultron, which was Marvel's huge crossover What If event 3 years ago. Todd, 3 years ago, was it? 2012 or 2013, probably after AVX. So this sounds neat. I'm not 100% that I'm going to pick it up. This might be a Marvel Unlimited read come Christmas time, but I don't know. I'll keep thinking about it. I'll see what else is on my pull list this week and what fits the budget. But this one might find its way in.
Yeah, it looks interesting. So, Bobby, what's big in games? Nothing.
Yeah, not at all. Just this little thing called Batman. Arkham Knight launches.
Oh, a little tiny game. Hey, look at that. Chris O'Donnell's in it. Ouch.
Wow. Really? You're going to go there with that? Damn.
That's what it looks like in the pictures.
There are no nipples, no bat nipples to be found.
Oh, that's good news.
No. So yeah, that launches Tuesday the 23rd, and this is basically the ending of the trilogy, so to speak, for Rocksteady. And why they say that there was 4 games in the series, but they're kind of looking at it as their 3 games as their trilogy. This is the final one. The last one's from WB Montreal, which is hit or miss depending on who you ask. Some fans loved it, some fans didn't, but this one is basically Scarecrow is coming back into the fold, and he's going to terrorize Batman and try to kill him once and for all. So everything that I've seen looks phenomenal with this game. This game's going to be amazing when it launches.
Somebody is going to try to kill Batman? I just thought they were going to get together and do a little swag over some cappuccino, try to work out their issues. I mean, I don't know. It seems weird to me that it turns violent.
What's about time they all got along.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
now, Bobby, you got the limited edition PS4, right?
Yes, I did. I ordered it the day it launched, or the day they announced it. So that's the only thing that stopped me from getting a PS4. Like, I was gonna get a PS4 like a long time ago, and when they showed the Destiny bundle, I was like, wait a minute, Sony's starting to do these limited edition ones, so I'm like, I'm going to hold off. I know they're going to do a Batman. Batman's a huge franchise for Sony. Rocksteady's done some great games with Sony. I said, I really think they'll do this, and sure enough, they did. And I was like, I pounced. So yeah, that comes out Tuesday.
Will there be a downloadable content where you can play the game Batman 66 style?
No, but there is in Lego Batman 3, John. There's an entire Batman 66 component.
Yeah, I think there's a suit, right?
Yeah, there's
with
a
the
suit.
pow bang. Oh, cool.
No, not
that. Yeah.
I want to play King Tut in the worst way.
But in Lego Batman 3, you do get to fight, the Condiment King. That's kind of a fun one. I kid you not, it's in there. Look it up.
Who King?
Condiment, as in like ketchup and mustard.
Like Mr. Mustard?
Yeah, he shoots ketchup and mustard. I was just playing the character earlier today. He has guns and shoots ketchup and mustard. I can't make this up. Look it up. Look it up, dude. It's true.
I'll relish that opportunity.
No. It burns. It burns.
So this means that Bobby is getting a PS4, Charlie just got an Xbox One, and John, you're going to be getting an Xbox One. Is that true?
I have an Xbox One.
Oh, you have an Xbox One.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you haven't,
recent purchase.
Yeah, if you have not had a chance, get Lego Batman 3.
Yes.
All the Lego Batman games are great, but I believe Lego Batman 3 is the only one currently on next gen.
The only Lego games are that one and the Lego movie. The Lego movie's not that great.
No, the Batman one, I've looked at it and just haven't picked it up yet. I think that's going to happen.
Just trust me.
I like the DLC that they supposedly did. They did like a Man of Steel DLC.
Yep.
I think They did a Batman one too, but I forget.
They have an Arrow, Batman 75th
Yeah.
Anniversary, Bizarro World.
Yes.
It's very fun. I am, as I mentioned, John. I am two gold bricks, or basically 0.3% away from beating the game, and I'm going to try to do that before the end of the weekend. Just got to do 2 more races, and I'll be 100%. Very excited.
Very cool.
So I'm excited as this. So I pre-ordered this at GameStop. I normally don't buy through GameStop, but they had the best DLC that was available for it. It was it was the I believe the Red Hood missions.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
You play as Red Hood.
Yeah. So I know most of this DLC is going to be available in the season pass, and the season pass is another sticking point where it's $40, and you can get everything that's going to come out for it. But it's $40. It's almost the cost of the game itself.
They're
Yeah, that
saying
hurts.
though, I watched I don't know if you watched it or not, but they had the lead developer from Rocksteady on Kind of Funny Games during E3, and Greg and Colin were talking to him, and they basically said like, yeah, you're paying $40, but we're gonna give you a new playable mission, like a big storyline each month for I think like the next 6 months after the game launches. So there's more. It's a meaty DLC package, unlike most where it's like, oh, here's a couple of suits and here's this. This sounds like there's a lot to it. So,
Oh, they'll get me. They'll get me.
Yeah,
I love those games.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah. Okay, well, gents, that closes the
Pull list.
the poll. My brain is yeah, it's there. That closed the poll list, and we're now going to get into the epilogue. So,
All right.
I'll do another thing, but this is basically going to wrap it up for Charlie
Yeah.
and then Bobby, you and I will finish.
And then you guys can get in the thick of it, mano a mano.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and count you back in here.
Okay.
And then I've got an epilogue. I got a Father's Day related epilogue to toss out. You guys jump in if you feel like doing one as well, like maybe a fond geek related memory.
It doesn't have to be Father. Now the epilogue is just basically it's a parting shot, whatever you want to say.
Oh, that's true. Todd mentioned that.
Mine is Father's Day related, but
Yeah.
Bobby, you could do whatever you want. You can definitely give your plug for the Geek Guru and all that stuff at the end. But if you also want to give, whatever, John, same with you. Whatever you want.
I'm actually going to be dropping off. We have to have dinner. It's dinner time out here.
All right, man.
So,
Thank
it was
you.
fun, though, guys. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Have fun, guys.
See ya.
Have a good one.
Okay,
All right.
Charlie, count me in.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, everyone, it's that time where we're going to say goodbye. It's the epilogue. It's our parting shot where we talk about something we didn't touch on earlier in the podcast. It isn't always necessarily geek-related. So I'll give my parting shot, my epilogue, which is simply Father's Day is tomorrow. I'm a proud father of a 9-year-old boy. My father passed away about 7 years ago. But I just want to say, for you as a father, you have a big responsibility, and fathers that raised us had a big responsibility. And one of the biggest things you can do is let your child enjoy what they love and support it. And my father definitely did. He was into different things than I was, but we came together on certain things like Star Trek. We saw Galaxy Quest together. We loved watching football together. And supporting whoever you loved. I mean, and Bobby, you can talk about your father, obviously supporting you, letting you call 1-900 numbers that he wasn't aware of. Charlie, with you, your interests and things like that. Fathers sometimes they don't get as much recognition as mothers do on Mother's Day, but you know what? It's an important role as being a father and raising children. So I just want to say, Dad, love ya, looking down from heaven. And I love being a father with Logan, who's a little gamer geek guy, and I love very proud of him and glad we have some things in common.
That was magnificent, and I don't even really want to follow it up. But my dad and I, again, very divergent interests, but we did share a love of Star Trek. My parents, they were divorced. They lived in different sides of the state. We were just over with my dad about once a month, but Star Trek was on every weekend. Star Trek: The Next Generation fostered my interest in a show that I went on to absolutely adore and just became a huge part of my geekdom. So other than that, my dad hates cartoons. My dad doesn't like comic books, but he did enjoy Star Trek. So Dad, and my dad's still with us. He's over on the other side of the state, so I will not see him tomorrow. But I love you. Wish I saw you more. And you know what? You did all right. I'll say that much. And I hope someday my kids, as a mixed bag that is, I have 3 sons, will be able to say the same thing about me.
Okay, so now I'm up. Man, you guys are killing me here. I gotta come strong here. So we're gonna keep the Star Trek theme going. Okay, how's that?
All right.
My whole introduction to geekdom was Star Trek. My dad, I was, I think, 3 or 4 years old, probably around 4 or 5, actually, to be honest with you. The original Star Trek series. My grandma, it would come on Monday nights, but it would be a sequel. Like, it would be like, they would have, it was on syndication.
Yep, syndication,
so
right.
they would do it
70s.
they do it the first, the first so long hour, however long the episode was, an hour, and then they would come on like the next hour. So I would sit there, and my mom would go bowling with my grandmother, and by the time my grandmother came over, we were on the second hour, watching the same exact episode that was just on an hour prior, me and my dad. And I would be reciting the lines line for line, and my grandmother would just shake her head like, "What are you doing to this kid?" So my dad got me hooked on Star Trek at an early age, but everything that I basically, other than video games, everything that I am into geek-wise is a credit to my father. He got me hooked on Batman. He got me hooked on drawing. He got me hooked on movies. The first movie I ever went to go see was Superman in the theaters. Got the speech before we even walked in. Went in the matinee, and he was like, "If you talk, I will choke you." Don't say a word. I don't care if you got to pay. You pay yourself. Don't say.
Oh my
Father
God.
of the Air.
Yeah, he's right. Like, you were here to watch a movie. You're not here to do nothing else. And but that's, it was just more or less. It was a different time. Different time.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't go to a movie theater and ratchet jaw the whole time. You just went and watched a movie. But my dad totally pushed me to what I am into today. So, I thank my father for that. He is still alive. I love him dearly. He did a couple of episodes on my Geek Guru channel on YouTube.
Wow.
Called Bob, Bobby, and Batman, and basically all we do is we just sat down and talked about our love for Batman, and I asked him. It was cool because I got to interview him and ask him, like, how did you? Because I know how I got into Batman. I mean, obviously with him, but I got to sit there and ask him, like, how did you get into Batman? And it was just awesome, just to sit there and hear. And it was funny because my aunts and such were like contacting me afterwards, like, "Oh my God, that was such an awesome episode that you got to talk to your father." And it started bringing back memories of them, when they were kids, because he was talking about things that they experienced as kids. So it was awesome. It really is. And so happy Father's Day to my father. And, I love you, Dad. And that's it.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't even imagine having my dad on this show. He'd be a perfect gentleman. Todd, you know my dad. He would be very formal. He can be a little stiff, but he would still find a way to keep up because he's just that good. He's just that good. I will say that. So, well, guys, thanks very much. And sorry I didn't get to be a part of the big E3 conversation. Wink, wink. But it was. I'm sure it was absolutely fascinating. I will, of course, remark as always. We are a spin-off of the Secret Friends Facebook page and the Secret Friends podcast page and community. Follow us on Twitter at SecretFriendsU, and as always, call our hotline. Leave us a voicemail and tell us what you're geeking out about. Tell us what you love. Tell us you think we're morons. We want to hear it. 952-222-7860 and be featured on our show. We'd also love to get an email from you. We're trying to get off the ground a little email bag project. SecretFriendsUnite@gmail.com. Drop us a line, give us some questions, give us some comments, and we'll read those on the show as well. So, all right, that will do it for us this week. I have been your co-host, Charlie Carden. I'm going to tell you to keep on trucking, and sharing is caring.
Bobby.
Yes, sir.
Where can the people find you?
They can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Geek Gurus. They can find me on YouTube, The Geek Guru, and I have a Facebook group, The Geek Gurus. I also have a Facebook like page. I got social media. It's all, but the main things that I'm on is Twitter, Instagram, and the Facebook group. And then obviously I do videos minimal 3 times a week, and I try to do 5 to 6 if possible, but I definitely do at least 3 videos a week.
Bobby, I want to say thank you for being on the podcast. This has been a lot of fun. Glad to finally, see you in person.
Yes.
Especially when you're on YouTube and I see your face, but you don't see me. But
Yeah.
this has been a lot of fun.
It has.
So, as always, I say be the hero, not the villain.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.
Later.
All right,
Okay,
dude.
Mr. Charlie, we will say goodnight.
Do your stuff. I'm sure you'll be on for at least another 3 hours. Can't wait to listen to it, guys. All right, Bobby, great to meet you, man.
You too, Charlie.
Looking forward to hearing all about your collection. My brother lives in Philly. I don't know where
really?
you are. I don't know where you are in Jersey. Are you north, south, east, west?
I'm in Vineland, so I'm about 20, 30 minutes from Philly.
Oh no, then we will have to connect at some point in the real
Absolutely.
world.
Absolutely.
You got it. All right, dude.
Funny story, Charlie. Vineland is also where we have a Progresso plant at General Mills.
Well, look at that. We could all hang out together.
There you go.
All right.
Over some soup.
Over some soup. Okay, all right, guys. Have fun.
Yep, you too. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, Bobby, how you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. So the way I broke this up, and maybe give me your 2 cents, I thought maybe what we could do is before we will give our predictions or what our predictions were before each conference.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to talk about Microsoft, we'll give our predictions first, and then we'll go through them to see, and then we'll grade ourselves to see how well we did.
Okay.
And I popped your predictions into the flow.
I actually have my notepad here.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I wrote mine down.
Yeah,
I wrote mine down because I kind of went off the fly, and I actually had to write down what I'm like, what did I say? Oh, crap. So I actually didn't do too bad.
I did okay. I thought I did better until I actually looked at it, and I was like, wow. Kind of.
Well, I think, it's
just
always tough. It is. It's always tough. There's always a lot of predictions. So, okay, I'm going to do the really bad transition as I edit these in. So I will start the transition. We're going to call this the mind meld on E3.
Okay.
So I will do the intro in 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, Bobby, it's time to get on our mind meld gear and chat about E3.
Beautiful. My favorite, our favorite things to discuss.
I know. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, and I will bring us back in. We'll have our bumper in the middle. So, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, we've got our mind meld app. So we've got our mind meld gear on, and we're ready to talk about E3. This was Geek Gamer Christmas, Bobby. Overall, what was your grade of E3? I mean, because sometimes it's a mixed bag. What do you think of this E3?
I felt like we got a lot of good stuff out of E3, but I feel like it wasn't the best E3 over the past couple of years. I felt like we were told a lot of stuff that we were going to get, but then when we actually, after the conferences were done, it was like, yeah, but that's not coming for years down the line. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff isn't even close yet. And then we were told, like, hey, we're going to give you this new controller. And then when the price tag came out, it was like, wow, thanks. No. And then, my favorite people kind of let me down a little bit, kind of let everybody down. So, but overall, I feel like it was, it was a decent show. I not going to lie, Microsoft and Sony both got me hyped up. Nintendo kind of just was flat, but other than that, it was good. I was happy with overall E3.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a mixed bag. I mean, I think Sony and Microsoft definitely had both really good conferences. Nintendo, I was really expecting a lot of surprises because when Nintendo gets scrappy, it's usually when they're not doing so great. So they do some crazy things.
Yeah.
And a lot of the third parties, unfortunately, a lot of those are just snooze fests.
Yeah, they were horrible.
Yeah.
They were horrible. Bethesda was amazing. I'm going to tell you right now, Bethesda knocked it out of the park for their first year. But UB, EA, Square was out there, man.
You really have to hold on for something interesting to come out of those.
Yeah, they were boring.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is Bobby and I both made predictions, and we're going to mention our predictions before each of the console makers, and then we're going to have one on third party, and we're going to see how well we did. Unfortunately, we just do this for fun. I don't know if we would ever get paid to do this type of thing because we're usually not that great at it.
Yeah, apparently not.
but I mean, it's so much fun to do this type of thing. It's like what's on your wish list versus what do you think is really going to happen, and sometimes it's a little bit of both wishes and predictable releases.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll basically hit the console makers first, and then we'll hit the third parties last.
Yes.
So Microsoft was the first one that went out. So Bobby, what were your Microsoft predictions?
My Microsoft predictions were first, I thought they would make a Battletoads game, or a new Battletoads game. Um, we get a release date for Halo 4 and Titanfall 2 information. Now, I'm not a huge Microsoft guy. We know this, but the thing of it is Battletoads. We're just going to give our predictions, right?
Yeah, just give your predictions.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's my 3 predictions. That's it.
I would give you partial credit for Battletoads because they
Yes.
were announced. So they will
Yes.
be on Xbox One. So
Yes.
making a debut. And I would say, you got your Halo 5, right?
Yes.
And then, well, you said November, but I mean, it's close enough. It's in October.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then Titanfall 2, yeah, nowhere to be found.
Yeah, nowhere to be found. And that shocked me. I really thought we would see something, but no, nothing.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's a scenario where they're just needing another year because it's probably going to be, yeah, so they need more time. So I'll give you mine. I said a price drop on 360, $99 for like the 4 gigabyte model. Didn't happen.
Okay.
Let's see. I said a Rare announces a new game. I said it might be a platformer. I said something in the maybe it might have been an old franchise that they brought back, like Jet Force Gemini. Didn't happen, but they are bringing out a new game called Sea of Thieves. So
that's part platformer, so I would give you credit for that one.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I would give you credit for that one.
I will take that, Bobby. Thank
you.
and I said a third-party title announcement. I mentioned Insomniac. I thought maybe Insomniac would bring out a new game, but there was a new third-party game that was announced specifically for Xbox. Actually, Xbox will own this, and it's called Recore. So, yeah, I mean, I'll give myself maybe a quarter credit.
Okay.
We're not gonna take points and give anybody. There will be no statue, at the end, unless you want. Maybe there'll be this guy. You can listen. Maybe you can have this guy, Bobby.
I would rather have your Meta Knight amiibo. That's
yes, the trials of amiibo.
Since that's your prized possession right at the moment.
It is. It was the one amiibo I wanted. I didn't have it for Kirby, sadly, but I got it now. I didn't really care about Rosalina, so it was a win-win for me. I just got her because I knew she was going to be rare. So
yeah, so there you go.
So, but and Bobby, you got the list out there. So, what do you think? You look at this list; it's pretty long. What were your things that popped out at you
for Microsoft?
Yeah.
Let me pull it. Let's see here. Microsoft. I thought I liked the Forza 6 footage. That impressed me a little bit. Tomb Raider, I felt like a lot of the same that we got out of the original Tomb Raider, just icy this time. But still, it looks good. It looks really good. The Division, that kind of impressed me a little bit. Overall, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, again, I'm not a huge Microsoft fan at all. But sitting there, they blew me away. I felt like they just came out guns blazing, and just that Recore game, that thing has me interested so bad. And knowing that it's a Microsoft exclusive, I literally, in the back of my mind, I'm like, am I buying an Xbox One now to play this game? Like, they really, seriously, to me, impressed. The Rare game that they put out, the $30, that's huge. Like, awesome. I think that's me coming from the Nintendo era and all that stuff and loving those Rare games. That's huge. That's very huge.
How did Rare get the rights to those titles? That just
they owned them all.
I know, that's crazy. I couldn't believe that they didn't come out under my Nintendo publishing.
See, Rare was the way it worked back in the day. Was Rare was its own entity. Okay. I would say similar to Retro Studios now, but the difference was when Rare made games, they were their own games. The only games that weren't there was Donkey Kong Country. Nintendo helped them develop those games. So, more or less, there was IPs that Nintendo or that Rare made, because there was a lot of those games like Battletoads and RC Pro-Am and all them. Nintendo published them, but Rare developed them. Rare made them and all that stuff. So then when the one that kind of confused me was Perfect Dark and Killer Instinct. I thought Nintendo owned those IPs, but I guess, as time shows that they didn't own them. But basically what happened was, and I was actually telling Alan this last night, we were talking, people don't realize this. Nintendo had a partnership with Rare where they would come in, they would give them help. Miyamoto actually went in and helped them develop Donkey Kong Country. Apparently, when Donkey Kong Country was made, people hated it. They thought it was horrible. They sent Miyamoto over there to work with the Rare team, and he put little things in it, like Donkey Kong smiling and dancing and stuff after he beat a level, like all these little quirky things that Miyamoto does. And it started to change the game and the philosophy. What happened was let's say, we're going through hypothetical numbers because I don't know exact numbers, but Rare was in trouble. They were in financial trouble. They were about to collapse. They go to Nintendo and they said, listen, we're going to sell everything. Would you buy us? So Nintendo looked at it and said, yeah, we'll give you $25 million for your company. So they're negotiating a deal, getting ready to go. Last minute, like a week before the deal's done, Microsoft comes in and offers $100 million and sweeps in and buys the thing out from underneath the Nintendo. Now, Nintendo, knowing what Rare is and knows what their value is, you're not worth $100 million, and they walk. Years later, comes to find out, Phil Spencer admits we bought Rare for $100 million because we thought Rare owned the rights to Donkey Kong. And that's what they were buying.
What?
They were buying Donkey Kong. They weren't buying... How can you spend $100 million and not do the research?
How would you not know that?
That blows me away.
That is silly.
So that's why... And then they basically just...
And we see what Rare is today.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So,
They're well, almost everybody that was there that really created those games on the N64, they moved on long
well,
ago.
they're Platonic for the most part. Platonic, and there's a couple other companies, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it is cool to see those Rare games come back, and it's fun.
Absolutely.
I mean, we go back to the PC days with Jetpack or whatever that game was called. So, and it's neat. And I'm not 100% sure if all of the games are just in their original form. And I know like Banjo, Kazooie, Tooie were kind of up-resed for Xbox 360, and then Conquer got a kind of a update look a few years ago as well. I'm assuming those are the versions.
You would think so,
I don't think there's any fresh coat of paint on any of these, but I heard they're going to make this like a museum piece, kind of like a historic look at that company, which is great.
That's good.
Yeah. So let's see. We've got the big news: backwards compatibility for Xbox 360. It's going to be emulation. Basically, they're going to have an Xbox 360 emulated in the Xbox One. It will not use any of the hardware needs. So, like Guitar Hero and things like that, they won't support that type of game or anything that required special hardware. So, but still, it's pretty cool. I'm part of the preview program. Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie, and Battle Block Theater are already on my Xbox One.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
they're waiting there.
Now, let me ask you a question, because me and Alan were talking about this last night because we weren't sure. Now, this is me not knowing anything about Microsoft. This was my take from the announcement. If you own the game and you own the disc, you put the disc in the system to get the licensing, so they know that you own the disc, or that they know you own the game, and then you download that game to your system. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. So basically, it's all code at this point.
Okay.
I owned those games digitally on my 360, and that's why they showed up, and they're part of the original 22 currently. That's 22 is all that's out right now that is backwards compatible.
Yeah.
There'll be more. So they're going to release it just like the original Xbox that had backwards compatibility, or the 360 had it. That's the way they're doing it. And I guess the only obstacle they said that is the publishers have to give them permission.
Yes.
They could just flip the switch. It's very easy to do.
It's very easy to do. And that's, you know what, and it's smart the way they worded it, because now it puts pressure on the public or the developers to be like, we're not going to put this game up there, and then the fans just scream and go, what are you, nuts? Like, why wouldn't you do that? So that's good that Microsoft kind of pushed it off and said, hey, we'll do it. We just got to get permission. So that was good.
Yeah, we probably won't see the Halo games, because guess what? They made the Master Chief Collection. So there'll be some certain ways to say those are already available. But yeah, it's a great way if you just have an Xbox One and maybe there's not a lot of games right now that are interesting to you. Go to your GameStop, buy some old 360 games because they're dirt cheap.
Yep.
There you go. You got a new collection. It's pretty great.
Absolutely.
Wish they would have done it at launch, just because it would have provided people a lot.
That's what I said. Like, I felt like this announcement is as great as it was, is like a little too too little, too late. Like a lot of people already traded their games in. Like my example was like most of the people that are playing Xbox games, they're trading in. They're basically going from system to system. So when you sit there and you go, hey, I got this Xbox 360, none of these games work. I'm going to go with the Xbox One. Well, guess what? I'm trading in my 360 and all the games with it because I want the most money I can get. So when I buy my Xbox One, which was $500 at launch. So again, for me, I feel like it's a little too late for it, but at the same time, it's a good gesture. It's showing the fans that, like, hey, we're supporting you and we're trying to help you out. And so I think it's a good move. It's a good PR move, if anything.
It is. I mean, I was one of those guys that traded in I traded my PS3 once I beat all of the first-party titles I liked, all of the multi-platform games. I played the ones I wanted to, got rid of it. Same thing with my 360, my Wii. I did all of those things and moved on. The Wii, the sad part is once you traded that in before I got my Wii U, I lost all of those digital games, which really made me mad. But I'm like, oh well, who cares?
I did the same thing. I didn't even think.
I know.
I never thought. I had so many downloadable games. I had no clue. But that was in the beginning of like all this whole transferring digital and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, it goes with your identity versus the actual console it's with. So yeah, and we'll talk about that in Nintendo. But but yeah, so I think some good news. You did mention the Xbox One Elite controller, 150 bones. That's really pricey, but it's really a niche product for like
for pro gamers.
It's pro gamers. Yeah, I mean, if they're going to get some of these games out on the pro circuit, they want people that never have to let go of a finger. Everything has got mapped and everything like that. I like that. I wish, because I own a PS4. The rubber sticks on my PS4, the DualShock 4s, have worn away. Apparently, they fixed that problem, but I would have loved just to be able to buy new sticks and put them on.
Yeah, that would be nice. That'd be real nice.
Yeah. Then we had an indie invasion, is what I called it. Fulbright Studio brought Tacoma. A lot of these games, I will say in the indie theme were pretty cool, but there's a lot of these games that they call them a first-person experience, where you're kind of just exploring and looking, but honestly, there doesn't look to be a lot to do. So maybe. But Beyond Eyes was another game. A new DayZ. The creator of DayZ had a game, and then Ashen, and I think the big one, Cuphead. It was once again shown again. Yeah, the game looks just like a 1930s Popeye cartoon.
It does. It reminded me, I watched it and I was like, it's kind of like Steamboat Willie. Like, like a Disney, like that type of style. Like the cartoons that Disney did when Mickey Mouse and all them weren't in it, like them goofy, weird cartoons. That's what it reminded me of.
Well, I swear, the one guy looked exactly like Brutus from Popeye.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, what? Yeah. I guess maybe there's no copyright on it. Who knows?
Possibly.
Yeah, and this is all, and I really kind of focused on these are kind of like the indie ones, and these are kind of like what's coming out in the near future. And then we had, the future announcements, because like you said, sometimes you feel like they're so focused on the future, and we don't. These aren't really even games yet. We can't even recognize them as real things.
Yeah.
Because so many things get announced and then they never happen.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the one game we announced was Recore. That was one game I kind of talked on. This is kind of crazy. It looks so beautiful, looks so interesting, but it's by the creator of Mega Man.
Oh, God, that game
Inafune.
looks so good. Yeah.
Yeah, and he makes great games.
Yeah, he does.
Wasn't he involved in Resident Evil as well, or no?
I believe so, but off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I think. And it's amazing because he's doing Mighty Number 9. And then he's off doing this as well. And it's like, when I think of indie guys, I think like they're out of the loop, like they're done. And it's just, they're doing indie and that's it. And it's just amazing that he's still kind of, but it goes to show the credibility and the track record of this guy, of the games that he makes, that he could still command to turn around and go, hey, he's still in demand. Like people are like, hey, can you come do this? So that was kind of neat.
And fun fact, Mega Man was actually the first Nintendo game I ever bought. My NES came with Mario, but the first game I'm like, and would you have bought that game today if it looked like that was the cover art you had, Bobby?
No.
Aging guy in a bad suit.
That was bad. That was, I remember my cousin had that game, and I was like, what is this stupid cover? And then we put it in, we started playing it, and we didn't even this is back in the 80s. We didn't even know to change the weapons. My cousin did it by mistake, and then also we realized these weapons, you use them to kill other. Yeah, I wouldn't have bought that game if that was it. I would have been like, no, this is not my first one.
No. I mean, and that game probably, if you played it and got good at it, it probably took you like 45 minutes to beat, I think. But as a kid,
but that game was tough. That game was hard, man. That was like a really tough game. Like I felt like that was one of the hardest games I ever played. Like when you figured, like I said, when you figured out how to switch to weapons, it became easier. But once you beat the game per se, like that Red Devil, until you figured out to like keep pushing select when you elect, like this guy would wake me out. I'm like, how do I beat this guy? And then sitting around the cafeteria, with my buddies, and my buddy was like, when one friend had Nintendo Power or something, he was like, you do this, you throw the electricity, and then you just keep pushing select to pause it. And I was like, no way, that don't work. And I went home and I was like, bang, he was dead in like one shot. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, who would think to do that? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and before the days of the internet, you got to figure out these stupid things. Talk to your buddies. I mean, Zelda, all of that discussion. I mean, it was crazy. That's we were hardcore, Bobby.
Oh, absolutely. It was old school, man.
So we're going on. We have Gears of War 4 was officially announced. I think they called it Gears 4 now, but this game, they say it's coming 2016. So we'll see more of that coming. Probably, I don't know if this is going to be. I'm assuming this is just a future story. It's not a prequel, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Then we talked about Rare earlier. They announced a new IP called Sea of Thieves. It's a pirate-themed multiplayer game. So I think people they sighed, saying, "Thank God it's not more Avatar games. It's finally Rare getting back to the type of games that we want to see them do."
Yeah, it didn't impress. Honestly, it didn't impress me at all. Like I just didn't. My feeling was look, you just announced this 30 for 30. Like, why wouldn't you go back and do something like old school to update? Like, just Battletoads to me was the game. Like, people would have exploded if you announced Battletoads. It's been so long, 30 years almost since Battletoads was at last out. So I felt like that was the way to go. I don't know that you would need another Banjo game, but then again, like I would have looked at it and said, "Hey, Playtonic is doing this. Why don't we try to steal some of their thunder?" Like we see that the people want it. It's right for the picking, So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. This game kind of looked like an Assassin's Creed pirate game, and because that style of boat combat did nothing for me. So it's kind of sad that that's where they're at, but that's just not for me. But at least they aren't doing Avatar stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and lastly, the one of the things they showed that was kind of out of the view of what we thought we were going to get. We thought they might talk about HoloLens. They did, and they used it, showing Minecraft because they own Minecraft now. They didn't get a new Minecraft announcement, but it was pretty cool the way they showed it because HoloLens is AR versus VR, basically taking it's not obstructing your view, but what it's adding is it's an overlay of a game on a real surface or something like that. And that's what they showed with Minecraft. It looked really cool. The way they showed you the way it looked was really cool.
That was amazing. Like when I was sitting there and they pulled the table out and the world started building, I was with my nephew. My nephew was, and I looked at him and I go, "Holy crap. This is amazing. This is awesome." It blew me away. Like I thought, like, man, could you imagine playing with your friends and like you're playing God almost? Like it's totally. I mean, the game basically you're playing God as it is, but that kind of felt like you're God. Like there's the world and you're touching it and telling it to do things and it's doing it, and it was like so cool. So
yeah, it's holograms right in front of you. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, and Microsoft made a unique point to say, oh, by the way, we also have partnerships with Oculus and the Valve, their VR as well. So they're kind of just saying, we just want to be involved in virtual reality as a whole versus being proprietary. So that was kind of a good take because I think Microsoft's doing more of that. They're going to share. I mean, they also talked about Xbox or Windows 10. A lot of the games are going to be cross-play. And I'll be getting Windows 10 on mine. I've got the Xbox preview, so I'm going to be able to try some of those new features, which will be really cool.
That's cool. That's good.
Yeah. So moving on to Sony. Bobby, give us your down and dirty predictions.
Okay, my predictions were, first off was a price drop on the PS4 and Vita. We got neither of those, which the Vita really shocked me. I thought we were going to get that one.
I thought so too.
Yeah. The PS4 was kind of just hoping, but no. I thought we would get some info about a Last of Us movie because I know that's been in talks. We got nothing on that, which that's really not game related, but I kind of thought they might bring it up, being, it's Sony, and they
They
own
talked about Powers for how long last year?
that's why I really
Yeah.
thought we were going to get something. So, and then I said that they would announce and show Last Guardian. So I definitely nailed that one, and that was just out of thin air. I was like, it's got to be time to show it, so they did.
Awesome.
So that's the only one I got right.
Well, let's see. I had the same prediction as you. Last Guardian announced for fall 2016, so they said 2016 fall. It's there, hopefully.
Yeah.
Let's see. I said Guerrilla would have an RPG, but I said it was going to be like a sci-fi. What they showed is more like a action adventure game.
It's Monster Hunter with robotic dinosaurs.
It's like fantasy, though, I guess, both robotics. Yeah, so it's like Guerrilla had a game. I guess as close as I got.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah.
And then I said they would bring back an old property, so I said they'd bring back Medieval. They didn't. So, oh well. So that is my predictions. I did okay, but not that great. So with Sony, we had PS4 getting a ton of indies again. They had Devolver Digital had these games: Ronin, Mother Russia Bleeds, Crossing Souls, and Eater. A lot of them look kind of cool. A lot of gory and lots of 8-bit and pixel art games. Let's see. Yeah.
For me, Sony didn't really wow me because the things that got everybody excited are so far off. They're not ready at this point, and I felt like, okay, you're showing me stuff, but like The Last Guardian. Listen, you've been working on this game for 10 years, and you're showing us the same exact stuff that you showed us 10 years ago. Like, I would have expected them to be like, hey, you're going to get it this fall. Like, that's well off, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But then the Final Fantasy VII demo or teaser, then when you watched, but you didn't know until you watched the Square conference the next day, that game hasn't even started yet. They're just starting production on it. So it's more or less like, okay, you're doing a remake, but what are you remaking? Are you just remaking the CG and then the game is going to be pretty much the same game? Or are you redoing the game and the CG? And there was no details given, really. So the excitement for that was just not, in my mind, warranted. And Shenmue 3, like, I felt like I got some strong opinions about this game. Like, I'm happy that people are getting it. I'm all for it. But when you watched that conference and Sony brings them out and says, like, hey, we support this game and we believe in this game and all this stuff, but they're gonna kickstart and we're gonna announce the Kickstarter. We're gonna launch the Kickstarter here live. My feeling was if you believe in it, then why aren't you backing it? Why are you sending it to Kickstarter if you believe in it the way you're announcing? I feel like it's a cheap cop-out for Sony to start utilizing Kickstarter in a nutshell. Like, if Sony came out and said, we're going to kickstart this game, the people would have turned against it and been like, no way, you got money. What are you talking about? Kickstarter is for the Shovel Knights, for the Mighty Number Nines, for the Bloodstains, for the ukuleles, the guys that can't get funding to come back and make games that we love and we really want, not for you to take advantage of the system and say, like, hey, you kickstarted, because now they got stretch goals put in. And it's like the next day they kind of announce, like, well, Sony's backing this. Well, if you're backing it, why is there stretch goals in it now? So basically what you're saying is you're backing it with our money. I just don't. It's just put a bad taste in my mouth. I just feel like that was. But again, people got hyped up about it, and I'm glad that people are going to get the game, and I'm all for it. But I just feel like the messaging is wrong to me. That's just my.
Yeah, Kickstarter's an odd thing because we did find out Bloodstain did have backers already. They have funding separately, but they said Bloodstain went Kickstarter because they wanted to show the demand for the game.
I think with Bloodstain, if I'm not mistaken, was they had backers if they could reach a certain amount of money, and it was more or less like, we'll match your money. If you can reach this level, we'll match it, or more or less. So, and that was also Iga basically was saying, like, I wanted to show them that we had backing.
Yep.
That we had people that want this game. He wanted to prove it to Konami and all these other people to be like, you told me no for all these years. Well, I'm going to prove that yes. So that one, I agree with that, but
Yeah, and it was funny. There was backlash to Oculus because they went to Kickstarter and everything like that, and then guess what? Facebook buys them, and it's like people kind of
Yes.
felt frustrated with that. It's a mixed bag. I mean, I've kickstarted one thing that succeeded, which was Broken Age, and I backed another device that it failed, and it made me mad because they said, "Oh, we found out it was going to cost more to get certified from Apple," and I'm like, you should have known that how much it was going to get certified, because then they dropped the ball and just took off, and then they started another Kickstarter. I'm like, so it's a mixed bag, but I'm glad a lot of these projects are getting made. Like Ukulele, I'm so excited about that project because Rare's obviously not making those games. Nintendo's not making a lot of games like that anymore, and there is a desire for them, and people want to see them. It's kind of funny that they didn't pitch to either. Maybe they did. Maybe Ukulele they pitched to Microsoft. Maybe they pitched to Nintendo. I don't know.
I think, now I could be wrong, I think they pitched to Microsoft when they were with Microsoft, and Microsoft said no, because there was a tweet that came out from one of the guys after they were fully funded. There was a tweet that came out and said, "This is basically an FU to all the people that told us all those years that people didn't want this game, and they really did." So I think that, like, are they dumb in the fact that they're not going to put it on Microsoft? No, they're going to put it on Microsoft because they want to sell copies. They want to make money. But ultimately, I don't think they took their pitch in the past. Now, I know that when it first came out, they said that they really wanted to work with Nintendo again. Why Nintendo didn't grab them up, I don't know. Like, it's just strange to me.
And those are the type of things I would like to see Nintendo do more. Partner with a lot of these studios that are talented, and Nintendo needs the content, and why not?
I like to find, and we'll get into that when we get into the Nintendo section, but I was happy to find out that Platinum Games was working on Star Fox. Like, I felt like, okay, that's buy them. Like, you need to double down and buy that studio and not let them go make games with Sony and with Microsoft. Like, you need to make it so that everything they make is for you, and that's it. Because that studio is so talented. Like, they are really talented. I don't know why they're just hesitant, to do that. But I agree wholeheartedly. Like, you don't have a third-party division. You need to amp it up and start bringing in, spend some of your war chest. Bring in some of these big, not big. You don't have to be big. Like, you could take these indie teams and say, hey, look it. Here you go. You're going to work strictly for us. Now, on the second side, I don't know that all these indie teams would actually necessarily want to go work for Nintendo again or at all. But like, like, I look at, and I have like somewhat of a relationship, a friendship, I'll put it, with Image and Form. I've met the CEO, Brian. I've talked to the manager, the PR manager, Julius, and it sounds like when they get in that situation, like, they're just so happy to be kind of working for themselves that they don't want to be told what to do, per se. They like that freedom. But at the end of the day, would you give that up to work on these big games? I don't know that studios like Image and Form or like Zoink Games and stuff like that, like these smaller studios, I don't know if they would. But a company like Playtonic that obviously came from that big development side of things, I think they would more or less like be happy to go back to a Nintendo fold, because that's security for a company like that. But I don't know why you don't go to like a yacht club and say, like, come work for us, so.
And I think we're at a stage now where so many people are enamored with Nintendo's properties, and these are the types of the games they grew up on, to get the chance to, under the supervision of a Miyamoto or somebody like that, to say, we want you to develop this game for us, and we're going to give you input to make sure it fits the Nintendo vision, but we want to see you do cool things, because I think that's when you get Yacht Club games to make a 2D Metroid or something like that.
Here's what you do.
There's so many opportunities.
This is what you do. You go out, you make a deal with Capcom, you buy Mega Man, and then you say to Yacht Club, come make me a Mega Man game. Done. You'll make millions of dollars. Like, it's not even it would sell consoles, man. I'm telling you. Just drive me crazy.
Yeah, it's just amazing where your imagination could go, and just like, oh, why not? Oh well. Well, we'll get back to Nintendo.
Okay, we'll get to them in a minute.
But
Sony.
in the next, with Sony though, a lot of the announcements that Sony really had was focused on third-party development, their titles, but with Sony exclusive. And we had Assassin's Creed Syndicate with content exclusives to the PS4. We had Destiny, their expansion, the Taken King, with exclusive content for PS4. We had Call of Duty is now the home at Sony with the same deal they had on Xbox. Now it's on PS4. We have obviously the Arkham Knight with Scarecrow missions,
which that kind of like, I don't know. To me, it was like, why did you just? The game's coming out next week. Like,
it was silly.
It was dumb.
Yeah, it was silly, but maybe it was just a quick pop, gets people excited. Say, oh yeah, by the way, next week buy this.
But the trailer wasn't even exciting.
No, it was weird and confusing. It was weird. It was like a weird viewpoint, so I'm not sure if we're actually going to see. I'm assuming that will be in the game, but yeah, it seemed a little bit off-putting. Then we had Disney Infinity 3.0. They're going to give you Boba Fett and the episode 4 through 6 content early on PS4. It sounds like after the holidays it will be available on the other systems, which was a smart move.
I want to say something about Disney Infinity, because, and you know this, we're both in the Amiibo madness. They took a shot at Nintendo this week, or last week. Yeah, they basically, the guy in charge of Disney Infinity said that Nintendo's a joke in terms of the way they're handling, like it's BS the way they're handling the Amiibo, and they should be able to sell better and handle the whole.
Talking about the production quantities or the way that they're
the way the production quantities are going right now, and so they took a pot shot at Nintendo. I feel. I'm curious when the Star Wars Disney Infinity figures come out. I want to see how good Disney is at keeping up with production, because Star Wars is a different animal altogether. Marvel's one thing, and that's not as the fans aren't as venomous and wanting stuff as badly as Star Wars. Like, you're going to have all the Disney Infinity fans going to buy the game, but you're going to have now Star Wars fans who buy everything just for the toys. And I really truly believe this is the test. This is going to open up the gambit and show people if Nintendo's really screwing up, or if it's just fanatical fans just buying up everything. Because I think now you're going to see a scalper game come in with Disney, because Disney Infinity really didn't have a scalper issue. I think with Star Wars, you're going to have scalpers coming out of the woodworks now. I think it's a whole new ball game now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because this is Disney's third version of the game. It's coming out. Yeah, I mean, there's been some retailer exclusive, but what they typically do is just they make them crystal or clear. But it's not, and that's at Toys R Us. They really earned that market. And maybe the smart thing is that with it being only on PS4 right away, that gives them that instance and that feel of, oh, here's your demand. Let's start producing against it. But we don't know. But you're right. People are excited about just the way these figures look. They're fun. And really, there is no Star Wars family friendly game. So this is really the Star Wars game for that movie.
Yeah. Other than the Lego series, but that's been a while.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen that in a while either. But yeah, so I mean, it's smart that Disney did this with, or what Sony did with the PS Vita version of the game. They also had for Marvel, and so there's some interesting feelings on that. But but I also heard Disney Infinity say they want Mickey and Disney or what was it? What was it? They said something about they want Mickey and Mario to meet too. So there's a little bit of a mixed message, but I think it makes sense for Disney.
Well, because now with Nintendo going with Skylanders, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, and that we'll get into that too, because I got some feelings about that.
Yeah. So then we have the last is Uncharted 4: Thief's End coming out in Q1 2016. That's really, sadly, the only first-party game Sony has, and that's kind of my gut feeling is, of all the companies I really thought would not drop the ball on first-party content was Sony. Sony has so many studios, and I thought it'd be Microsoft's just living off the third parties again, but It's really disappointing because I love all of the weird, quirky things Sony did last gen. Puppeteer, which Bobby, I don't know if you ever saw that game, was one of my favorite Sony games of all time. It reminded me of a Nintendo property. It was so quirky, so cute, so much fun. But yeah, there's been nothing like that. I mean, everything we know about Sony that come in the first parties is 2016.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So
I'm surprised they didn't do an Uncharted collection. I mean,
they do. They do have one.
No, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't show it or talk about it at all.
Yeah, they didn't show anything at all. Yeah, actually, I went to the PlayStation Experience at the theater to watch it, and they showed a trailer before the event kicked off. So they actually had some really cool trailers for Metal Gear Solid 5 as well too before the show started. So yeah, it's surprising they didn't show anything, but I imagine they'll market it, probably in October or something like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So let's see. Future games. We had, like I talked about my guess of Guerrilla making a game. Well, we did. It's a new IP called Horizon Zero Dawn. This is really awesome looking. I'm excited for this game. It's apparently open world, action adventure, weird mix of prehistoric humans with robot dinosaurs.
Yeah, that was kind of different. Yeah, but kind of it caught a lot of people's eyes. It caught my eye. I think it looks phenomenal. It looks really good, well put together. I just kind of want to see more of it before I get all excited about it. So
at least we got gameplay. That was one of the few things I thought was kind of cool. We did get gameplay. It was just a pretty trailer. So we'll give it that. Yeah, Street Fighter V, they revealed some new characters, Cammy and Birdie. This is exclusive for PS4. Probably I didn't know what the specific date is. 2016, sometime in there.
Yeah, you know what, that game looks good. Really does. Like when I saw that, I've always been like a Street Fighter fan growing up. Street Fighter 2, in the arcades, I always played that, and even when it came to home consoles, eventually at some point, I played it there as well. So for this, I really like the style, the way it looks. Like it kind of got me excited for it.
And you picked the right console then, Bobby.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm going to definitely pick that one up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see more because, it's games that are HD, like Street Fighter 4 when that came out. That looked mind blown, and now it's hard to make a game look really different because it looks beautiful. And it had some really cool flourishes, and I know they're going to add some more things to it. We'll find out more about that in the future, but
absolutely.
And maybe we'll get a swap back to Nintendo, and they'll say, "Oh, you get the probably not. No, there will be no Nintendo characters in that game."
No,
so it's kind of sad.
If it wasn't a Sony exclusive, I think you would.
Yeah.
But being a Sony exclusive, Nintendo, there's no way Nintendo's going to let their characters go to Sony. So
exactly. Let's see. We got more gameplay of No Man's Sky. Once again, I'm impressed with the game. I probably will never touch that game.
Yeah, I won't ever touch it at all. And my feeling is like you showed us the same thing you showed us last year, pretty much. Like enough. Let's show us something different. Like I don't understand the hype for the game. Like I understand the concept. Like is kind of mind blowing, but at the same time, it's like I don't understand why everybody's so through the roof for this game. Like it looks cool. It seems like it's fun. I just don't understand the major hype for it is my main question.
And see, I don't even see the fun there. I see a lot of stuff, to do, but no motivation to do it.
Yes.
And it's procedurally generated, so they have, basically computer programs coming out and spitting out worlds. They look cool, but quite honestly, I like crafted worlds. I like to know that a designer decided to hide a treasure chest over in that corner.
Yes.
I don't want to have empty worlds that just, you're exploring and doing it, but what are you really seeing that's going to be that interesting?
Like they talked about how they have planets that no one will ever discover. Okay, why? Yeah. Like you're going to make that many planets that nobody's ever I just don't get it. There's people that are through the roof for it, and more power to you. It's just not doing anything for me.
People like Minecraft, I don't. It's a lot of that. What you make out of the game and your stories, but at least Minecraft has those creation elements, which I think is what keeps people in.
Yes.
So then we got another weird experience. We got Media Molecule made Little Big Planet, came up with a game called Dreams. I don't know what this is. It's beautiful. It's pretty. It's art. I don't know if it's a game.
I was listening to a guy that shout out to Skyward King. He's got a channel on YouTube. He's actually in my Facebook group, Joey Craig, and I watched his YouTube channel today, and he discussed his breakdown on this conference. The one thing he said was there's a lot of people that are like, what's this all about with, media molecule, and they weren't hyped up about the game. And he said the only thing that he didn't understand was why it's not hooked up with Move. Like, if you're painting and stuff, like, it'd be easier to use Move than it would be to use the controller. And he was like, that's the one thing that I don't get. Like, if this game is that, if it's that important to create and do things like that, like paintings and bringing them to life, why when you do something that would make it easy to control is Move? And the one thing that he said that changed my mind on it, because I was like, this is stupid. Why did I care? He was like, there's going to be some people out there that are going to make some crazy stuff, and it's going to be just cool to go check it out. And once he said, when I listened to him say that, I said, he's got a point, a serious point. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they did show last E3. They showed a concept with them using Move controllers to do something. And Little Big Planet, I wanted to love that game more than I really did. It was so inventive, so beautiful, so creative, but the control just wasn't there. It wasn't crisp like a Mario game, but it was cute and fun. And then the user created levels. I mean, it's amazing what people were able to create with the tools that weren't that easy to use. Like, I played one game Bobby, this is so stupid, but three of my buddies were playing on the couch together on one co-op level. It was called Fart Rocket. All it was somebody made a rocket that made fart noises, and we could not stop laughing. It was just so dumb. But somebody made a calculator in that game. Somebody's made. I mean, so it's really neat to see what people made, and people made like 1 million levels in that game. And but a lot of them, it's like a lot of nothing good. But it's amazing people could do things with that. So
absolutely,
kudos to them. You already mentioned the remake of Final Fantasy VII. Who knows? I mean, they still got to put out 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3. So hold your horses. That's probably a 2018 game at the earliest.
Yeah. And when Square showed Kingdom Hearts 3, I liked it. I thought it looked cool. But again, they're so far off. Like, it's going to take them forever to finish. So, because they're basically saying that the team that's working on Final Fantasy 15 is also working on this one, and their priority right now is Final Fantasy 15, so it's a ways off.
Which 15 will probably be released next year, because I think they said they're about 66% done last year, so they've got to be close. So Kingdom Hearts, I mean, that's probably 2 years away.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of sad. You think that they've missed a complete generation of hardware on Kingdom Hearts, which I love the first two games. Beautiful, fun games. Then we had Hitman's got a new game. There's going to be content exclusive to PS4. I've never really played Hitman games. If you like to shoot and kill people, it's fun. Then we had a really cute game. It's called World of Final Fantasy. This sounds like it's going to come out on multiple other platforms, but it's going to be first on PS4 and Vita. And it's super cute. I don't know. It's they get big and they get small, little super deformed chibi.
I don't think that I'll wind up buying it at all. But I think they're going after a younger market. And it's good because Sony needs that stuff. They're more geared towards the mature audience, so they need to try to bring in games like the Little Big Planet and like this to kind of bring in the younger kids and the Disney Infinities and stuff like that. So I don't have a problem with it. But this just isn't. And you would think that it's because of Nintendo fan that I am, that this is down my pipe alley, but this is just like,
Yeah, and the game that I thought they would have at least shown outside of just a trailer was the Ratchet and Clank game, because that's coming out in right around the time the movie is, and I've seen demos of that game, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, that's not where we go back to, and where we're questioning is where was their first party-ish games? Like, they didn't really show anything, and it just it blew me away. It really did.
They've got so many studios. They've got like 11 studios or something like that. And we just not seen much. So, which is disappointing. That's the reason why I went with PS4 versus Xbox. I'm like, I'm going to get those games. I'm going to get the third party, and I'll eventually get an Xbox One because there's games that I will play on that system. Like Halo 5 and things. And right now, Microsoft's beating at them in their own game with just much more games coming out this fall. So,
absolutely.
And then lastly, we talked about Shenmue 3. I played some of Shenmue back in the day, kind of have not gotten back to that. But I know some people are excited about it.
Yeah.
We can thank that game for the creation of QuickTime events.
Yes.
Okay, Bobby, We're getting to the
Yes.
home stretch. Nintendo.
Okay. Nintendo.
Give us your down and dirty.
The letdown of the conference.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. Pretty much, I predicted that we would see Zelda U footage. We did not get that. I said that we would get a new Metroid game, or Metroid would be announced. We did get that. Just wasn't what anybody expected, and it wasn't the type of, when I said Metroid, that wasn't the game I was expecting. But
In name only.
yeah, I'll take the technicality. So, and then the last one was Animal Crossing Wii U announced. Again, we got an Animal Crossing on Wii U, but it's not the game that anybody was expecting at all. So that's what I had.
Bobby, give me a
Yes.
smile. Show me that smile. Look
You got
good.
it. You got it.
If I sing, then you'll smile. That's
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
That's about it.
Well, I don't know if I mean, let's see. I said Amiibo game would be announced. Well, I got partial credit because we're gonna actually have Amiibos in a game. It's Skylanders. Yeah.
Well, okay, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
And they did do the Animal Crossing game, which is
Yes.
an Amiibo game, but not
Yes.
fully based on Amiibos.
It is because it's free to play.
Oh, and it's Amiibo cards and
No, it's the pawns. You actually use the Amiibo as your playing piece, so you have to buy the Amiibo in order to do the playing piece. Now, I believe that they'll let you use cards as well because they know that people aren't going to be able to get all the Amiibo.
those are from the 3DS game.
Yes,
That'll
yes.
use the cards for their
But this game, I think, and they haven't put out all the details yet, but I think you're going to see with this game where this will be like their Amiibo game per se, and it's kind of like Monopoly per se.
Gotcha. And I did see a bundle, but if you are unable to download, you can buy a physical game and get the Amiibos bundled with it. But I'm assuming the game is cheap, and the Amiibos and the extra pieces are the expensive part. So there you go. And those will be probably pretty hard to find.
Yes.
Then I said a Mario game would be announced. Foolish Todd. I mean, I knew we were getting Mario Maker, but at least I thought they would drop the hint of, in 2016 you're gonna get some Mario game like Sunshine. I would love to see a Sunshine come out. Nothing at all like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then lastly, I said, this was just me being foolish. I said, they're going to apologize for all the Amiibo hijinks. They're going to say,
you knew that wasn't going to happen.
They were going to do a deep bow, and then they were going to say, and starting next week, all of the old figures will be back in store, and everybody will be able to buy one.
Well, they did make that announcement prior to E3. Here's my take with Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo views E3 as a week-long event, not a 45-minute trailer piece that they do, where they do things differently. If you look at the week in a whole, from the digital direct that they did, that to the final Treehouse Live event, because they were showing stuff in Treehouse Live that they didn't show. They showed Fatal Frame. They showed a lot of indie games. They had a lot of indie games show up and show off their games during Treehouse Live. They made announcements. They showed off games longer than they did in their trailer. Like when I wanted an Animal Crossing game. I wanted a true to form Animal Crossing game. So leading into this, everybody was calling, the Happy Home Designer like the house arrest. Animal Crossing house arrest.
That's what Altano calls it. Yep.
And because they were looking at it and saying, this is all we get is a house. That game is so far from that, it's not even funny. Like, it is a true Animal Crossing game, where in New Leaf, you're basically the mayor, and you're basically running the town. In this one, you work for Tom Nook, and you're building the town from the ground up. You're landscaping the town. You're putting trees in places. You're doing all this stuff that true fans of the series have wanted to do for a long time. It's just it's a twist. So when I saw that, I said, oh my God, this is the game I want. I'm getting this game. and unfortunately, I'm getting amiibo cards with it. And I didn't want to, and I am now. So,
Is
and
that
then,
game free
no,
or
that game's a pay game. That game's a pay game. And then the amiibo cards you need to buy. So,
are
which
those going to be blind packs? What are they?
they're blind packs. There's going to be, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, a guy in my Facebook group, James, he said that because he keeps an eye on the Japanese stuff, like he imports a lot of his stuff, kind of like Blake in the NVC group.
Mm-hmm.
Blake imports a lot of stuff. Well, that's what James does. So James, anything Animal Crossing, he imports, and he was looking at it, and he's saying that in Japan they only get 3 cards in a pack. We're apparently getting 5. So, and the price still isn't set of what it is going to cost yet.
$6.99.
Probably.
That makes sense.
Wouldn't surprise me. We're $5.99.
Infinity does those. Disney Infinity right now does the blind packs of 2 power discs.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were $5 each, and actually they've changed their tune. They will no longer do the blind packs. They're doing everything in themes, and it's going to show you.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. And I think they're saying when I watched the Treehouse Live, they were saying that the first series of Animal Crossing cards, there's 100 cards in it. So it's like, holy crap, man! There's gonna be a lot of trading. You're gonna have to find friends that are collecting as well and doing this and trying to make trades and stuff. So, it's got my interest, but it definitely has my interest because what they were saying was like, okay, in normal Animal Crossing, villagers just happen to show up. Okay, animals happen to show up into your town. In this one, it's the same thing. So you don't need the cards. Animals will show up. But let's say in the past, if I wanted Stitches, I needed to trade with somebody. I needed to figure out a way. I had to get an animal to move out. Then I needed to go talk to somebody that had Stitches moving out. And then he would move to my town. That's where a lot of people were doing these power saves where they were stockpiling animals into their towns. And then what they would do is people would ask to come in and they would then get the animal they're choosing. In this one, if you have the card, all you do is plop it down and that animal comes to your town. So that's
Kinda
cool.
But is that more like a what's the best way to play? It's like free to play where this is your pay to win?
I guess, but
or does it just take out the grind?
It just no, because let's be honest. If you played Animal Crossing,
I have not. This is all like over my head. So I'm like, I know it's like a sim, and you do.
It's like a sim, but
you
with
have to pay back this horrible person, Tom Nook, and he's the most evil person in the world, or something like that.
Pretty much. But with Animal Crossing, there's like 400 animals in the game, and the chance of you getting your favorite is very slim. So it's difficult. So there was times where this is how crazy it got, Todd. There was Facebook groups where you think scalping's bad in real life. The scalping for animals was horrendous.
So how do you do?
What happened? Okay. So what would happen is if I had the animals would come to you and say, "I've had enough of this town. I'm going to move out on this date." So what you would do is you would say, "No, stay," or "Okay, go." What these people would do is they would take pictures of the screen and they would go, there's huge favorite popular animals, Marshall, Stitches, all these characters that are like really popular characters. So they would go into a Facebook group and they would go, Stitches is leaving on the 15th of the month. If you want them, bidding starts at 20,000 bells. And these people would bid up Animal Crossing money, millions of bells, 40, 50 million bells for animals that they wanted. It was insane how bad it got. And then finally, me and my wife, we got connected with a group of people that just basically, what we call power saves. It was basically like a reaction program, like one of those, like it alters things. It's what's the play reaction card or something, like it's something that they use that they save your town. It's like a supplemental system. So what you do is you save your town.
Is it like a file or something that they send to you and then you can upload it?
Yes. So it saves.
How do you upload it?
That I have no idea. I think it has to go with your computer. Has to deal with the computer, It's
weird. It's almost like people that can extract ROMs from cartridges and different things like that.
Yeah. So
Bobby, this is like some weird, like, you're telling me the Russians got involved? And
yeah, pretty much.
There was a hit on this guy, and oh my! And I just gotta say,
nuts.
bells are a weird currency.
Yes.
Really, bells?
Bell, it's the money. It's like
it's not like a physical bell, right? Is it?
No, it's like well, listen, it's like we have
a
dollars.
Ducat.
Yeah, exactly. So the bells is what they call it. It's not really bells; it's a coin. So it's strange, but so to me, watching that, I was like, okay, cool, I get it now. The Metroid game, like people lashed out against it, but when I actually watched it, played, I was like, this isn't a bad game. Like this is actually looks fun. I get why people are upset, but at the same time, I look at it and I go, it's no different than Four Swords. It's no different than Zelda Four Swords. The problem is the fans got so hyped up thinking that this is what annoys me. What was the hype that people wanted? They wanted Metroid Prime done by Retro.
Yep.
Now,
or a 2D. Yes. That's the other one. Those are the two versions.
There were two. But let's be smart about this. You know as well as I know, everybody knows, it takes to make a game the scale of a Metroid Prime and to have Retro Studios do it. It's going to take you 3 to 4 years to make that game from the ground up. They just finished Donkey Kong Country a year and a half ago. So how in the world are you expecting them to make a game playable or ready so you figure a year and a half, or not even a year and a half. It was last February.
It would have been the February game. Yep. Okay. So they probably finished that up in December or something like that.
Something like that. Yep. So I think they actually finished it in November because the game was originally supposed to launch in November, and they pushed it back to February.
Yeah, for some boss.
So let's say 7 months ago they finished up this game. Let's say a year ago they finished up this game. There's no way possible that Metroid's going to be ready by next year. It's not possible. So if you know that, if common sense dictates that that's not going to be ready, then what were you expecting? And if they would have come, and Nintendo's not that type of company to come out and go, hey, we got this game coming out in 3 years. They don't do that. They're not Ubisoft. Ubisoft would have done that. And then guess what? Everybody would have been pissed off next year because it's not here. So for me, I looked at it and was like, okay, if this game was called Blast Corps 2015, nobody would give it a second look.
Nope. It'd be like that. It'd be like that one game they showed that came out. Was it Iron something? That shooter they had that came out on the 3DS last year. Nobody cared about that game.
Yeah.
It went out. And that was a new Nintendo franchise that nobody said.
The submarine game that they came out with the launch of the 3DS. Nobody cared about that. Nope. So here's an opportunity.
They should have called it Captain Mario's Submarine Adventure,
and it would have sold through the roof.
Bobby,
yes.
Why don't Nintendo listen? We like the little Navi.
Yes. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I mean, it makes sense. Now, I think what they could have done is they could have said, "Here's your 2D Metroid," and because like they kind of do with Zelda, they've always said like, "Here's a Zelda game," and then here's your console game that comes out later. Now, I think people would have been happier with that. But I saw the game. I thought it was fine. The only thing I kind of gave me pause once again is I saw the treehouse where the guys were playing together. Yeah. There was a lot of talk. There was a ton of talk.
There's no voice chat.
There's no voice chat. I'm like, that's kind of hard to do because it's coordination. It's not just look for green paint. It's really coordinating. That seems like where it's a missed opportunity. That I get what they're doing. It's co-op. It's fun. I like that type of play where you're putting the big monster in a cage. You're doing something like that. I don't care the style. I mean, that's fine. And it's not going to replace the Samus game.
No, not at all. But now you're saying that, and Triforce Heroes. I played that Wednesday. I actually put a video up today that I discussed it. And
where was that playable at? Best Buy?
Best Buy. Yeah, it was a surprise. They didn't tell nobody. We went there for Mario Maker, and while you were waiting in line, a guy walked up with 3 3DSs strapped to him and went to each person.
It's really disappointing that Best Buy is headquartered in Minnesota, but you can't find any of these cool things to do at many Best Buys in Minnesota.
That's crazy. That's mind blowing. But so I played it, and again, I'm sitting there and I'm yelling at the guy next to me because he's not doing what he's supposed to do. And I'm like, there's no way you can play this game without voice chat. I don't understand why. But like we said, like I was alluding to earlier, I really truly believe that they don't have the technical savvy down to do this properly. I think they can't keep the frame rates up or something. But they need to just come out and say, hey, look, if we put voice chat in here, the quality of the game is going to diminish greatly. And then you know what? People would respect them and be like, okay, I got to go get Skype. And they wouldn't even think about it. They wouldn't even care about it.
Well, put Skype, just put the Skype app on the Wii U.
That would be huge. Yes.
I mean, why not? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, or maybe not Skype or whatever. What's Google Hangouts or whatever. Put something on there. Where it's like you can say, oh, it's not in our game, so if something happens, we don't take responsibility. And for minors, your parents have to sign you in. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, it gets a little frustrating when you want to do something. You want to put your best foot forward in a game like that and encourage. And we know as we get older, your buddy's not coming over to sit on your couch and play with you.
Absolutely.
He's across the country.
Absolutely.
And we know that Nintendo's fan base is getting older. I mean, it really is. It's not growing at the younger stage. My son likes Nintendo, but he likes other things too. So and I think as we get older, we're not closer together, but we want to have these experiences together. And that's where it gets frustrated with me. I know I talked about, I mean, I love what they do, but they stumble over themselves because of pride and certain things like that. And maybe I can't remember what their story was on. I remember NBC, they brought this guy in that was talking that they were behind all of the online infrastructure of the Wii. Was that what it was?
Yes.
And I'm like, why don't they really, I think they need to find some good partners and help them along the way.
I think DNA is going to help them drastically.
I think
really,
so too.
Truly believe that. I think that they brought DNA in and they partnered with them and they traded stocks and all that stuff. I really truly believe they brought them in because they have no clue what they're doing. They're not a tech company. And I think that, and for not being a tech company, I give them all the credit in the world. They've done phenomenal things.
Oh, yeah.
With stuff that they've innovated a lot for a company that's not a tech company. So, and they've got the tech companies following suit, trying to catch up with them all the time. So in my mind, I think they brought DNA in to go, hey, listen, show us, teach us what we need to do. You guys are dealing with this stuff all the time. How do we do, this all-in-one system? How do we do voice chat? How do we do all this stuff? And I think that's why DNA is more or less brought in.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think what we want them to, we want to say, we want your content. We don't want you to change the heart of your games. We just want you not to stumble over the things that could make your experiences that much better, and I think that's a missed opportunity. But they kept on saying they're transforming.
Yes. You know what, Todd? And this is what has me excited. What's the one thing that Sony and Microsoft always had over Nintendo? They weren't strictly a gaming company.
Yes.
Microsoft has the computers. Sony has TVs and phones and all this stuff. And Microsoft has tablets and everything. Like, they have more than just video games. Nintendo, for the longest time, was just video games. And now you're starting to see Nintendo do all these different ventures, which is bringing in supplemental income. And I really, my heart of hearts wants to believe that once they get all these pieces together, where they have other streams of revenue coming in, where they don't need to worry about if a game flops, if a system flops, I think you're going to see them get aggressive again. I think that they weren't in a position to be aggressive. They only had one stream of revenue, and if that thing flops, that's why they always went conservative.
Yep.
If the Wii flops, if the Wii U flops, which essentially it's a commercial failure, if it fails, they are in trouble. And I think with bringing in the Universal and the movie deals and all the different things that they're doing, and I think it's just going to, DNA, if they're selling games, if Nintendo can make mobile games the way Nintendo makes games, but in the mobile format, they are going to kill it, and they're going to make money hand over fist. Because I think what they're going to do is they're going to turn around and go, hey, you know what? You want your free-to-play games? Here it is. But you know what? If you want to avoid all that nonsense, pay me $15, $20, and you can play the game and go all you want with it. And I think they're going to kill the Candy Crushes and all them games that just nickel and dime you. And I think you're going to see some. They're going to give that avenue to, hey, you want to be an idiot and you want to give us $1 every hour. More power to you. We'll take your $1 every hour. But if you don't want to deal with that, you want to pay us $15-$20. You can just have at it and do what you want to do. And I really think they are going to kill the mobile market. They're going to just crush it. So I think that when you look at all these streams coming in, I think it just makes them a stronger company. And that's where they can actually just mount up and go, okay, Sony, okay, Microsoft, let's go.
Here's your prediction for the fall. When they announce the next iteration of the iPhone, Nintendo will come up on stage.
I think you're right. I really do.
Perfect.
I really do.
It's your announcement to the world.
I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that Nintendo didn't work with Apple more closely. But then again, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But I think you're right. I think that when the time comes out and Apple does their conference, you're going to see them come. They're going to tout Nintendo to come out, and they're going to be like, hey, this is what the games we're making. That's where they're going to make their announcements on the games, not at E3. They're going to do it there.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be amazing, just like the U2 album that dropped on your phone for free, everybody who has iOS, whatever, gets this Nintendo game for free. I mean, because Apple can afford to pay them whatever.
Yes.
Nintendo could say, this is our, we're going to make Apple exclusive content. We're going to still make stuff for Google, but you're going to get Apple exclusive content. It would be a smart.
And Apple would be, they're fools if they are not in Nintendo's offices right now going, we want all your content. What do you want? You want $1 million? You want $2 billion? Whatever it is, we'll pay you up front. Your games come to us first. We get exclusive deal because that's it. I mean, listen, this isn't Konami. This isn't Capcom. This is Nintendo. And I really think that they're going to kill it.
Yep. Apple doesn't have exclusive content, really. They don't. I mean,
no.
they want everything on their system, and they get it because they're the biggest dog in the house. But, I mean, this would be a very cool way to say Nintendo and Apple, which are very – I would say Nintendo's looked up to Apple in the way they've performed.
Oh, absolutely.
So it makes so much sense. Yeah, it makes so much sense. But, I think we should just, go through these, unfortunately, not so great, not so exciting announcements really quick. We had Star Fox Zero. That's coming out, when is it? Just said holiday, right?
Yes, I think it's coming out. Yeah, it'll be December sometime.
And it's really a single-player experience. We haven't heard about co-op and no multiplayer online, that was the biggest surprise because most of their games that have been successful have had the multiplayer element to them,
I think we'll see
Smash and Kart.
Yeah, I think because if you looked at the Star Fox 64 remake for the 3DS, they had dogfighting in it, but it was local multiplayer. Yeah. So I really think they'll do something. I really do. And maybe that's just harder for people to play as like a dogfighting versus maybe that's just a little too more difficult than, or maybe they put races in. I don't know, but Yeah. We'll see. That's coming out. That's probably their biggest Wii U release. They announced the Superchargers exclusive where they're going to have 2 amiibos that are also Skylanders. They have a snappable base. And so this is my curiosity now, because now I want to know, is it Nintendo or not? And because I believe that Skylanders is making these toys. I believe so too. Activision is making these. So if that's the case, I want to see if people struggle to get these things. If people don't, the only thing that could stop it from really being a struggle is it's not major character. Like, it's not the characters that are really like blowing through the roof. Like, if they made a Marth, I'm curious how quickly it would sell out. And I'm curious. I think you got 2 things working against it. Is number one, the price tag. It's expensive, but it's a starter pack, so that makes sense. But I'm just curious. I'm curious if they can do something with this. Go ahead. No, I'm just curious how readily available this will be, or if it'll be blowing out the doors like the Amiibo are now. Well, from what I read, it's only these 2 characters. Donkey Kong is exclusive to the Wii U pack, and then and this is the surprising part. Bowser is part of the 3DS. And they're still making a Wii version? I know. That's like blown. I mean, come on. But you know what? They must be moving them. Well, Skylanders did huge on the Wii. And it's no different than Ubisoft announced that they're doing Just Dance 2016 for the Wii.
Which
So
I think of the third-party games, I imagine Skylanders and Just Dance were the best performing
Yes.
third-party games on those platforms.
Yes.
So I mean, yeah, if they're only available in these starter packs, that
Yeah.
might be a deterrent. But I know my son, he loves the Skylanders. That's probably what he's going to buy is
Yeah.
when he gets it. That's the version he'll get because that I know some people said these don't look like regular amiibos because they kind of look weird,
They
like
don't.
Happy Meal toys. So
That's what Brian Altano said. That if I don't know if you've read his comment in the Nintendo voice chat, he said that. He said they seem real cheesy. They didn't seem good at all.
yeah, so we'll see how far this swings. But Activision, I mean, if you go to any Toys R Us, they have 85,000 Skylanders on the shelf at any time.
Yeah, and that's why I'm curious to see how it will be, because with the name Amiibo attached to it, what will it be? So I'm kind of curious how that's going to work out.
Yeah, but it would be cool if you got to see more amiibos come out of Skylanders. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, it would make that relationship grow.
But I will say this: I will not buy these. I want nothing to do with these.
I'll have one to show you, Bobby.
I don't want nothing to do with
it. And many people have said that about many amiibo. I won't buy a gold amiibo. Yeah. Gold Mario, that thing's ugly. Oh,
listen, I got them all. Look at me.
I know.
I got them all behind me.
You're a little prisons. I can see them.
That is not what I'm collecting. I am not collecting Skylanders. They look hokey. No, I don't want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, if you could see by our TV, we've got Skylanders, yes. Infinity, we've got some Squid amiibos, and so we go there. So then we had another game that was announced, was Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. This was kind of a surprise. We haven't had a Tennis Mario since what, the Wii had one, or was that just the just the GameCube with
no, that was the Wii. The Wii, because you had the. Oh, you're saying it was the GameCube.
It was the GameCube version, but with Wii controls, because they did that with a couple of games.
So. Yeah. I think that's what it was.
Yep. And then there was one on the 3DS that came out.
But that was I don't think it was the 3DS. I think it was like.
Oh, maybe it was the DS.
And it was a DS. Yeah.
Yeah, because they had Golf that just came out for 3DS. So that's there. So that's really your two big, new announcements that were made considering the Wii U for this fall. They did not talk about Devil's Third at all. They didn't talk about, they talked about Fatal Frame, but not on stage.
Nope.
So that was there. Let's see. Cooperative play returns to, you talked about Triforce Hero. So that's basically your 4 swords.
Yep.
Apparently you can play with 3 people or by yourself, but not 2. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently there's no voice chat in that either. So you just got to figure out what each other's doing.
There's little, on the lower screen, there's little pictures. There's 8 little pictures. You click it, and the picture pops up on the screen. So, like, you could say, come here, and you click it, and it picks a picture up, like, of Link with his hand waving, and it says, like, come here, and it's no good. It's not going to work. It ain't going to work.
Then we talked about Metroid Prime Federation Force, which it also does have a intergalactic soccer with guns mode. So, like I said, I don't think it looks like a bad game. I just think it's missing some opportunities that maybe they'll surprise us. And did they announce when that was coming out?
I don't believe they did. I don't believe they put a date on that.
Okay. And then the last one looks kind of fun. Now, this was the game I thought maybe they would have brought out for the Wii U, is a new Paper Mario game. Or Mario RPG.
Yeah, that Paper Jam. That just it didn't do anything for me because I'm not a fan of either of the series. But it's interesting. It's kind of neat to kind of merge the 2 series because they're both very popular. So I think you're gonna get some people excited with that.
Yeah, I mean, and the rest of the things they've talked about, because they talked about them at the last E3, which is funny because they always. It's interesting, Bobby. We both had the confusion. You'd say you're not talking about anything that's going to happen past this fall, but that's exactly what you did last year, and now you're not doing it. So it's a little weird. But we have Mario Maker; that's their big game coming out this fall. And they had
I think a lot of it had to do with ego. I think you had Miyamoto there, the 30th anniversary of Nintendo, of Super Mario Brothers, and I think they didn't want to steal the thunder from that. That's why we didn't see a Sunshine game. That's why we didn't see anything other than it was all focused around. And it was all focused around that Mario game, which is a good game. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to enjoy building levels when the time comes. I just feel like as a whole, Nintendo screwed up because they took their best stuff and gave it away early, or let it get leaked. And I don't understand how all this stuff got leaked. If you looked at the hype that came out of the Chibi Robo amiibo, People exploded when that came out, like when they announced that. When you looked at the hype behind Ryu and Roy coming to Smash, even though there was a rumored hack, nobody believed that hack. So when that got announced via a leak, people exploded and people got all excited. You turn around then and you announce those amiibo that are coming out, the Roy, the Ryu. You tell people Lucas, and you can buy them now. Earthbound. Why in the world was Earthbound giving away at the Nintendo World Championships? That should have been told at the E3 digital event. It just Fatal Frame. Why wasn't that shown at the event? And here's the kicker to me. You don't, and we talked about it earlier, you don't have a third-party presence. Why is the one thing that carries me, and I'll talk for me personally, me, Bobby Pauls, the thing that carries me from Splatoon to Yoshi to Mario Maker to Xenoblade is indie games. Why in the world were they the only company that did not do an indie reel? That blew me away. And I'll be honest with you, it pissed me off because I'm sitting there and I'm saying, here's these companies that are busting their ass to give you games and to be exclusives for you, and you're not even showcasing them. That makes no sense whatsoever at all. And it just their heart is in the wrong place right now, and I don't get it. I don't understand. This whole week was, and you know what the crazy thing is? These are the crazy guys that in 2 weeks from now we'll get a digital direct, and they'll show us more crap in that digital direct than they showed us in the 45 minutes for E3, because they don't care about E3. I don't really feel they even care about E3. I think it's just a presence for them to go, and they do it out of tradition, but they really don't. Their heart's not in it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and it's funny because they've got a lot to talk about. That's the scary part. They've got a lot of mobile stuff to talk about. When are they going to talk about that? We know they're going to have directs on, Mario Maker's coming out in 2 weeks. Let's do a direct on it. We've got, I don't know if they'll do one on Xenoblade, Xenoblade.
They already did one, didn't they?
Yeah, because they just did one not that long ago. And then they're probably going to talk about, some little announcements too that happened to me. But then they still have to talk about what's coming out in 2016 eventually. When are they going to do it? I mean, are they going to wait until after, the last game of the year is announced until, and they say, oh, by the way, you're going to get something maybe in February, maybe something in April, maybe something in May. They can't wait that long because people want to know, what am I going to buy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I've talked about this. I want Nintendo to be very successful, but quite honestly, their output has always been a challenge when they have to, support, 2 platforms. Now they're going to mobile, and now they're developing for the NX, because that pipeline has had to have started, right?
Yeah, they've had to have. I really truly believe that the games that people want are being made right now for NX, and I think that NX is a home console. It might be a hybrid system. If they're smart, it's a hybrid system. I think that Hyrule Warriors coming out on the 3DS shows that they're at a level now where you can do both. You could take Hyrule Warriors on the road, and then you can come home and plug it into your console in the house and go there. So they're showing to me, and with Xenoblade Chronicles hitting the 3DS as well, I see that they're starting to show that the technology's catching up, that they could potentially do this. If they can, I think what's going to happen is NX will come out. It's going to be similar to when they had the Game Boy Advance. They had the I think the GameCube, and they had the what was it? Oh, the 3DS, or not the 3DS. They had the DS, the Game Boy Advance, and the GameCube, and more or less the Game Boy Advance disappeared. I think that's what's going to happen. Is they're going to bring in and we're going to say, hey, we're going to keep the Wii U, because they don't want to tell people that they're abandoning the Wii U because it'll piss people off. I think they're going to basically somewhat support the Wii U. They'll have their 3DS, then they'll have this NX system, whatever that may be, and I think that's the way they're going to go. And then they'll have their digital, their mobile support as well. But I think you're going to see whatever this NX is. I think it's going to eventually take over the Wii U.
Yeah, I think the time for the Wii U is, I think we're going to get some games. We're going to get some good games. There's going to be some things that are fantastic. I mean, and usually most game consoles, by year 3, that's when the best stuff comes out. And I don't know if we have that with the Wii U, which is kind of sad. It's going to go out with a whimper versus on a strong note. It'll just, kind of die off, just kind of like the Wii died, just kind of died out.
You know what though? In all actuality, if this year, if we got Xenoblade, if we got Yoshi, if we got Mario Maker, Star Fox, they're strong games. They really are good games. Yoshi's Woolly World just looks phenomenal. Like that, the detail and the graphics just look amazing. So so let's just say that this is the final year of the Wii U. I don't think that's really technically going on a whimper, other than the fact that you don't have a lot of games. I'm sure there's still stuff in the pipeline that they're not really talking about. Their biggest thing is they're trying to support 2 consoles, and they don't have the resources. And it goes back to what we were saying before. But I think the biggest downfall to me, and we discussed it, I was talking to Alan last night, and Alan brought it up last night, and I agree completely, was why do we have to hear that Platinum Games was working on Star Fox after the digital event?
Yep.
That blew me away. I don't understand that. That just... These guys are amazing. You would have had so many people amped up if you would have just flashed that Platinum logo up, and then the Nintendo logo, then Star Fox. Game over. You'd have had it.
Yeah, you know it was in good hands, because for a while there, I thought it was going to be Namco, because it was going to be their Ace Combat team.
I thought so too. I really did,
because they've got a strong relationship with Namco Bandai. I mean, that's who made Smash basically with So
and they're doing Pokken Fighter in Japan.
Yeah, and Platinum's doing a million things. But yeah, I would love to see Nintendo buy, or at least have developed partnerships with all of these Japanese studios, which quite honestly, the Japanese games market, they need all the help. All those developers need as much help as they can, because that market's shrinking. That, hey, take all this talent, work with Capcom and say, okay, by the way, Mega Man's going to be exclusive on Nintendo now, and we're going to supervise it, but give us your best developers or your best teams. Let them work on it. We're going to buy Platinum. We're going to buy... what is it? Level 5 games that makes all the RPGs.
Dr.
The Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, man.
I mean, think about a lack of. You're a Japanese company, and you have literally how many JRPGs on your Wii U?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the frustrating thing. Because think of how many Final Fantasies. I mean, synonymous to Nintendo, and I know that changed, but it's just frustrating that you don't have a lot of these. I mean, where you have gaps in your own production abilities, partner with the people that can deliver those.
Absolutely, and it would be huge. Like they basically stole Monster Hunter, and they brought it over because of the 3DS and the success of the 3DS. It was huge for them. But if you have to be able to grab companies like this and say, we need you to come work with us. Like, you're working with Level 5. They're doing this Yokai Watch, which is supposed to be the next Pokemon. If that's the case, you shored up all ties of Pokemon. So you own Pokemon, per se. Why in the world wouldn't you do this right now? Like, lock it in. Get them in-house, working for you, strictly for you. Well, I guess we'll find out. But I don't understand. I don't understand it at all.
They're a conundrum. They're a quandary, and we love them. They're like that weird uncle you have. You just love him, but he does some weird things.
No joke.
Hey, uncle, put on your shirt.
No joke. Absolutely.
Well, we could talk about Nintendo for days, but Bobby, let's really quick just give our predictions on the third party, and then we'll just give any just last thoughts on the third party and things that you're looking forward to.
EA, I predicted Mass Effect 4.
You got that?
We got that. Ubi, I said Watch Dogs 2. Did not get that. And Square, I predicted Bravely 2nd gets a release date for the 3DS. Now, I know they did say a roundabout release date during the Nintendo Treehouse, but I'll be honest with you, I couldn't stick with Square. It got weird, and I bailed after Kingdom Hearts. When that guy came out with that big goofy head, I was
that was odd.
I was like, what are they doing? I'm out.
I'm done. Like, did I miss something?
Yeah, that was strange. I was just like, I can't be a part of this no more. So I went to the Treehouse Live after that. So I guess I partly got it, but I don't know if they announced it during their conference, but they did announce it for the week. They gave I think they said it's a 2016, like a late 2016 game. But that game looks really good.
Was that your last one, Bobby?
Yeah, it was EA, Ubi, and Square, right?
Okay, yeah, great. Okay, wasn't remember if there was a third.
Yeah.
So let's see. For me, I said EA would say there's exclusive Star Wars Battlefront content. Didn't happen, which was surprising. Nobody has exclusive content at this point.
No.
So, that's maybe, I don't know. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
And then I said Ubisoft. I said Beyond Good and Evil 2 would be announced. Nope. Oh, so sad. Then I kind of said something odd, which I said Capcom would have an exclusive game for Wii U. They would partner with them, kind of like the Capcom 4 or whatever it was back in the GameCube.
Yeah.
Did not happen. And then Square, I thought Brave Fencer Musashi would be announced, Part 2 or whatever it is. Nope. Not going to happen.
Well, you struck out big time on it.
I did. I had more hopes and dreams than reality, I guess.
Yeah.
So Bobby, on the third party, what would be your, like, I guess the biggest thing you were excited about?
For me, Bravely Second. I'm really excited for that game. I liked Bravely Default. I thought Bravely Default was a great game. It took me back to old school Final Fantasy games. I did not finish it. I put about 50 hours in, and then finally I was just like, all right, I'm done.
If you just got to 51 hours, Bobby, you would have beat it.
I probably would have. They said it was close to 100 hours. It was up there. It was like maybe, I think 75 hours they said was the beating it. And the problem was I just got roped into other games and I just never went back. I've tried a couple times, and role-playing games, the problem is if you stop, it's hard to go back.
We forget what you were doing.
The storyline gets all wacky, but Bravely Second definitely has me excited. I definitely want to check that out. EA with their sports games, I think I'm going to dabble back into Madden a little bit. FIFA has me. I've never played a FIFA game, but I actually started to enjoy soccer a little bit this past year with the World Cup. So I think I'm going to actually start trying the games and trying to learn a little bit about soccer. So that would be more or less my excitement for everything. Ubi just, well, you know what? And in the third parties, Bethesda with Fallout 4. I've never played a Fallout game before. They made me want a Fallout game, so I'm actually going to pre-order it. Probably when I get my PS4, I'm going to pre-order it and get it. So, but that game looks phenomenal, and I'm not a Doom fan at all, but Doom looked, whoa, that game looked wicked, man. That game just blew me away. Like when they're like get up close and he knocks a demon down and stomps his face, and I was like, holy crap, man, this is amazing. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was like a ridiculous high-end PC either.
Yeah, probably was. Yeah.
Yeah, I myself, Fallout 4. I played Fallout 3. I really enjoyed it, but certain things didn't connect with me. But I love Skyrim, so I'm hoping they took things from Skyrim and put into Fallout 4. But yeah, that game looks phenomenal. Just the amount of things you can do, and and they give you a dog, so that's even better. You got a companion, which is fun. Apparently, the dog can't die, which I guess is
well, that's good.
Nobody wants to see a dog die. My son probably Plants vs Zombies 2, exciting for him. That game is
probably right up his alley.
Oh, Bobby, you like Splatoon. I think you'd really enjoy. It's got so much character, so much fun, and it's so cute and fun. Yeah. My son loved that. Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect is probably my favorite game series of all time in the modern age.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait to see what they do. My only concern is that the people that were behind that game, the previous series, have gone. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little nervous that they can bring the same thing that they did to the original Mass Effect to this, but I can't wait. Yeah, and then I guess lastly, South Park, the follow-up to Stick of Truth. I loved that first game. The second one, the name, The Fractured Butthole. I had to read that title a few times. Like, oh, I see what they did there.
Yeah. The funny thing with that is I was shocked to hear that they were going to make that game. Like, it sounded like after Stick of Truth that like them guys didn't want anything to do with a video game again. Like, it sounded like they were done, and so that's good to hear that they're coming back.
Yeah, it's
money talks.
It's going to have superheroes, but apparently, I think the way the game finished up was much more, which was better than when they went THQ, died, and they had to find a new publisher and all that stuff. Yeah, it got crazy. Yeah, so E3. Wow, good segment, Bobby. That was fun.
That was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So it was a very civil Nintendo conversation.
Yeah, you see that?
You
Yeah.
would have never thought you would have a civil conversation on Nintendo with me.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. You loved this week with Nintendo floundering because now you can get away with saying a lot of stuff in that MVC group and nobody calls you on it and gives you a hard time because everybody's all pissed off at Nintendo right now. I sit there and I watch you guys. And I'm like, man, and I can't say nothing because they dropped the ball this week.
Oh, I know, and I know some people. They just it's like kicking. You know, I can yell at my sister, but you can't call my sister names.
Yeah.
I feel it. I mean, this and some people, Nintendo is their only console that they own, or that, and they don't have something to fall back on. So you know, and I will say on Nintendo's front, the fact that all those indie games that could be filling that gap, they could be talking about that strongly. They don't, and I look at their schedule. I'm like, so now I have to wait from Splatoon. I have to go almost 5 months or whatever until I can play Yoshi. Or
But here's the thing: you don't, because they got a lot of indie games coming out.
But if I looked at the release schedule, I wouldn't see those.
Yes, and it blows me away how you don't grab those guys and go. And I think a lot of it is when that guy left. I don't even remember his name.
Yeah, he was he was basically their indie development.
He was liaison. And I think unless they plug that gap real quick, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, because I mean that's what kept Sony alive. They have that indie role. They show all these games, and you're like, oh my god, there's so many games. And really, you look at, but Sony's only putting out 2. So
you know what? If Nintendo put out 3 games a year. Mario, Zelda, whatever for the third one. I don't care what it is. Whatever first party game you want to put out for the third one. I could care less. If you gave me a bunch of indie games, because to me, those are the exciting games right now. Because it's stuff coming out that's just amazing. Like SteamWorld Dig. I love that game. That game is phenomenal. And then Heist. Heist is awesome. Like SteamWorld Heist is going to be hands down one of the best games of the year. I truly believe that. Runbow, it's a fun party game. It's basically just running, and the colors switch and change and all that stuff. Mutant Mudds is coming out. That game is good. That's a hard game, but it's good. You got the Shovel Knight DLC coming out. There's a bunch of stuff coming. They're not, like you said, they're not talking about it. And it's like, why? Why would you not talk about these games? So, yeah.
It's a shame.
It is.
But, like we said, there's probably greener pastures ahead from Nintendo. They just got to get through this rough patch and, just focus on making good games.
Exactly.
Spend your money in the right spots. Exactly. Keep up your development, and then hopefully we'll be talking about, a whole different thing, next year potentially when we get some new news. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
So cool. Okay, well, Bobby, let's take off the Mind Meld gear.
Yes.
And let's get into the epilogue.
Okay.
Okay, man. I got to put my kid to bed.
Okay.
He's still playing Splatoon. Logan, go to bed. Well, when mom's out of town, this is unfortunate what happens.
That's good, man.
Exactly.
He's doing the best thing ever. He's
probably is a level 20 by now. Yeah.
Listen, I'm sitting here watching him play, and I'm going crazy because I'm sitting there going, man, I could be playing Splatoon. And
he's got all of the 4 mini games unlocked or whatever now, so I don't. That's good. Buddy. Thank you again for being on. This was a blast.
No problem. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Okay, I'll be editing it, and it'll be out soon, and I'll let you know. Feel free to, let everybody know that you were on and everything, and vice versa, and share the love.
Will do.
Absolutely. Okay, Bobby, have a good night.
You too. Thank you, Todd. Have a good one.
You too.